What's up with the camera? That's crazy. I don't know what's going on with the camera. It's weird. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're both off? Dang. Rockin' my baby. Rockin' my baby. My camera's glitching out, bro. Oh my god. Dun, 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 dun. Who invited you up here, Draco?
So I requested somebody. You ain't want me to come up.
No, I just didn't know it was on set on auto.
Oh shit.
You know, I
No,
don't
I'm
I don't
trying to.
mind you, Draco, but this might be hurting your feelings. You know, you might think this is a little disrespectful right here. You feel me?
Oh no. No, you hurt my feelings right now, cause I don't know where
Oh,
you coming from. Like yeah, disrespecting my ancestors will hurt my feelings, and I will speak on it. I don't see what's the problem with that.
speak on it. Speak on it, then.
Yeah. I mean, shit, what's said is done. What's done is done. I'm not gonna dwell on the past. I don't dwell on the past. You get what I'm saying? But if it's right in my face in the heat of the moment, I'm gonna speak on it. And
Right.
then my feelings not hurt. My feelings won't be hurt if I say, hey man, can you take that down? And if you
Yeah.
don't, it's like that's
So
not. I don't see how that's sensitive or
right,
anything. But
right.
yeah, it's just boundaries. Hey, bro, can you take that down? Yes or
Right.
no?
Well, you
Or
lucky that was
you know,
Diamond's
whatever.
Diamond's live. You know what I mean? Because if it was on my page, I wouldn't have taken it down. You feel me, Draco? Because
Yeah, I mean it's your page, but yeah, but
you
like.
didn't even ask me why it hurt your feelings so bad. You know, you saw one of our ancestors getting bit by a dog. You feel me? And I put FBA on the dog, and I put
I
African
don't
American on the brother that was
listen,
getting
bro.
bit.
I don't care about the
So
FBA disrespect. It's this. It's making fun. I don't care. Like
it's not
that's
making fun
damn.
of the brother that got bit,
We
though.
putting
That's what I'm trying to
it's
make you understand.
because it's inflammatory. It was meant to. The whole reason. Excuse me. I had just gotten to it with somebody over disrespecting African American people
Hmm.
in the name of Pan Africanism. It's like we can't be doing that. So in the heat of the moment, I'm like, look, see, Diamond, this is what I'm talking about. Then you come over there doing the same thing. So I asked you because I felt like we had to report, hey, bro, can you take that down? You, oh no, I'm not taking that shit down. So
I said I'd take
it's
it
like,
down if
damn, that's
Diamond. I said I'll take it down if
yeah,
Diamond wants me to take it down. You feel
and
me?
that's disrespect. And then she said, yeah, that is kind of disrespectful. You getting like, it's like you don't have to disrespect the ancestors by
That's
doing that.
fine.
You
She
can,
was on my panel with that picture up. She didn't say nothing, so she only reacted because you felt disrespected for it.
well, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
why
I
I keep
brought that
calling
to,
you.
yeah.
So without me giving you any context behind the picture, you just felt an immediate attack.
It doesn't have to have, that's disrespectful. That's like fucking, like you are a
So
vex in the
when
sense,
we
like
show
if
white
I bring,
people attacking African Americans, Black Americans, right, and we show a historical photo about the atrocity that happened, is it to rub the salt on the wound, or to like revert back and look at historical things that happened to our people here in America that we can speak on? You know. So I think what you got a little caught up, maybe it was the whole FBA and African American. Like we shouldn't be having this conversation maybe through this picture, right?
that's the whole thing. Cause
Because
the
if I was
person I
talking
got
about,
into it,
so go
the
ahead.
person I got into it before, right before that, they was calling slave babies, doing all this disrespectful
Yeah,
shit. And
I ain't doing
I'm a
that.
Pan
You know
African.
that, Draco.
So
I'm
it's
not
like
doing
you
that.
come up here right behind them with this shit, and that's a friend
I
of
didn't
yours.
know
I'm like,
that
bro,
context. I didn't know.
y'all like blatant like disrespecting African
Right.
Americans, and if we fighting FBA all day, and then y'all come up here with this shit too, it's like y'all kind of helped FBA talking points. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, y'all keep doing this
Well, I
disrespectful ass
jumped
shit.
into that live not knowing that context first, right? And then second of
Right,
all,
and then I didn't attack you. I asked you nicely. I'm like, bro, can you take that down? And it's like you got hostile. Like, no, like I don't see how that sensitive. I asked you nicely. I'm like, I feel like I got a report, bro. Can you take this down? And it was like, fuck you. It's like, damn, all y'all damn Africans and other ethnicities is just like blatant disrespectful. Like y'all think this, and then the sensitive shit on top of it is just like that's another disrespectful thing. But like I said, I didn't come up here to dwell on the past. I was coming up here to speak on the
fine, fine, fine. At
present.
least at least we hashed it down. You know, we hashed it out, and it's nothing. You know, kept calling you sensitive because you made me take it down. You know, so regardless of the fact, I'll drop it. All right, Draco.
Yeah, no, that's not sensitive because, like, in real life, it's like I'll tap somebody on the shoulder and do something. It's a different thing, but it's like this the internet. I can't tap you on the shoulder. I don't even
If
know
I knew
who
the
I'm talking
context
to.
before I jumped on that live, if I knew what was going on beforehand, I probably would have understood. You know, but
Yeah, but the
since
whole
I
time
didn't
with that,
have that context, and I was going to take your word for it, because you've been on my channel before, and we've had a little back and forth, I believe, right, Draco?
Yeah, I feel like the intent is always to be provocative, anyways. But it's like I can't tell
Well,
you what to
that's an
do on your part.
assumption. That's an assumption about
Yeah,
what my intention is by showing that photo. Because first and foremost, I will tell you the historical background of that photo, and then describe how FBA are doing the same thing as that white man and that fucking attack dog, just like the slave catcher and the slave owner back in his day. So you didn't
yeah.
you
That's
didn't
why I
want
said
to hear all that.
I no,
You were
I understood. I understood it's like it's easy. It's an
you
easy
didn't let
concept
me
to
give you
understand.
context though. I had to
I
know.
can understand the context, but that could be done without disrespecting and opening
The
wounds
only
of what
person I
happened to our
disrespected
ancestors.
was you. That's it. Until you started calling out, crying out about how disrespectful it was, then you got a reaction out of Diamond. But Diamond's seen that photo before. So I guess Diamond
That's because
understood what the context was, what you guys were having. And maybe that
that's
was
because I had to bring awareness of another one of her mods and your friend, like one of your they calling people slave babies and
I'm
doing
not
all this
calling
extra
nobody.
shit.
I'm not calling. Trump is over there calling people slave babies. The 14th Amendment
And
is for slave babies, and you don't hear nothing. You don't hear no of these FBAs. You don't tell them not to talk about how they think the 14th Amendment is only for them and them only. I don't see you calling that out and being like that's disrespectful.
you don't. I don't really be on these panels like
That's what I'm
that, but it's like
saying,
I'm
bro.
against
All right,
FBA and
all right.
I'll go
Let's
against
just
them
hash
all the
it
time.
then. Let's just hash it. I
But no,
apologize to you,
for the
you know, and that's it. There we go.
for
But
the
you want to
for the
speak on
panel though,
the prompt?
yeah. So this the thing. Like I want to know your definition of Pan Africanism because I see all type of Pan. It can be a Black American, and they are part Pan Africanism. No, I'm not a Pan African. So what's your definition of a Pan Africanist? Like,
So knowing that your ancestry descends from Africans, right? In the new definition of it within the continent aspect, down to the tribes and the heritage and the lineage. I don't even like to use that word lineage anymore, but more than anything, it's a kind of like understanding of a lifestyle that you want to see your brethrens from whatever continent, right? Whether it's the Americas, whether it's Africa, whether it's the Caribbeans, you want to see them all uplifted and motivate them to live better, to look out for them. So to each one teach one kind of thing, right? And more than anything, it's for the countries like the African continent. There's some countries on the African continent where they're so stuck in their own tribal affairs, right? Their own political situations where they don't have a chance to think outside the box because they're living within the context of what they're put into, right? So if they're having civil war disputes, if they're having these wars, these civil wars within their countries, they don't have the time to think about how we should uplift all of us outside of the continent. I think it's for us diasporic Africans that live abroad to have a chance to look from the outside and look in and see how our people are affected, whether we have families there or not, and have a chance to think about how we can come together, on an international level. Like we still have a chance and the blessing to be liberated from that conflict on boots on the ground. So that would it's almost like when we go up to higher education, right? We leave the hood, we leave our neighborhoods, and we go and we aspire. Our parents invested in us to go get a higher education. And to do what? To go get that higher education and hopefully, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but hopefully learn enough to come back to our homelands and have an impact, when the right time sets itself for that opportunity, you know what I mean? Because we might start our own lives, we might have our own kids, but I feel like we should have a reason to go back to where our ancestry is, so for that reason, Pan-Africanism to me just represents people never delineating from that ancestry and always finding a reason to, if not go back, to think about ways to help all Black people in the diaspora, so whether that's like I said, the Caribbean, the Americas, or wherever African people end up migrating to. You know, we're not all just fleeing. A lot of us want to go travel the world, want to go see places, want to go see things outside of Africa, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're fleeing, you know? And I hate how FBAs and Black Americans like put that forth, that people have to be fleeing because of natural people can leave because of natural disasters first and foremost, right? That's a that's a normal reason to flee. Not, I don't even like to say flee, just migrate. Animals migrate, bro. Animals migrate to different areas. They don't know nothing about borders. It's their fucking God-given right to move and to find you know, a greener grass on the other side. You know, there's nothing wrong about a pastoralist moving around his cattle and shit so his cattle can eat fresher grass and somewhere else. You know, this land is not confined by borders, you know, or these new nation states. So that's a kind of neo-colonialism kind of mindset. And also you being understanding that forced migration is what they're going through. They're forced to leave their areas, you know, not by what African Americans went through by being captured and brought here, sold, captured, brought here, because that was forced on them, but also being forced to move by destabilization. Other countries coming in, raking your resources, don't let you have any partake in those resources, and emptying you out, destabilizing the environment, destabilizing the economy. You have no way of making any money because they don't allow you to make money off the resources that you live on. So that's another type of forced migration that people want to call fleeing. Now, when people get deported from America and forced to go back to their countries, that's another forced migration that they didn't see coming. So how do you support an administration that does the same thing that they did to your ancestors to our recent African immigrants that come here? Like, you're just repeating the cycle. I'm not talking to you, Draco. I'm talking to these xenophobic Black Americans or these FBAs that spew the rhetoric of to go back home and to go fix your own fucking country. Those are the ones I'm talking to. Those are the ones that have a big problem with Pan-Africanism because they don't have a Pan-America. They have a colonial bordered America, not bordered by Black Americans. The fiat, the money circulating is not backed by their black dollars. There's no black faces on that fucking white fiat currency, not backed by gold, not backed. It's literally monopoly money, okay? But they want to act so tough and big because they fought the wars that white people sent them to go fight. And they also want to say that they helped everybody, that the U.S. corporation and its military to go destabilize these countries. They want to say that they went and helped, whether it was communism or whatever they were, you know, whoever they went to supposedly go help out in Africa and the rest of the world to set up the puppet democracies and the people in charge now that they want to say, you know. So anyways, I know I'm rambling a little bit too much, Draco, but I hope you understand what I think about Pan-Africanism. At the end of it, to simplify it for you, it's upliftment and motivation for all. When I say Black people, I mean African people. I'm not talking about anybody else. And when I say that, I'm saying it's a lifestyle. You have to understand that you want the best for your own people. And your own people can come from all over the world. They don't just have to come from the fucking continent of Africa. I'll land on that point.
Yeah, you said a lot. I think we pretty much agree on the definition of Pan-Africanism. I was just asking because, you know, it's some people, they might be Black American, African American, but anti-FBA, and they reject the Pan-Africanist title. Like, oh, I'm not a Pan-African. Like and then I don't know, like somehow that word has been turned into a slur. But I believe that, yeah, we all can. I think on the base level that most Black Americans are Pan-Africanists. Like, we see other Black people, we not saying, oh damn, where you from? Like, people not paperwork checking people in real life. Like, People are gonna be black first. They see you and all right, it's cool. Oh damn, you come from a different culture. And then we reach out and learn more about your culture. Sometimes people might make a joke or something. Sometimes it might be innocent. Sometimes it might be nefarious. But yeah, most for the most part, we are Pan Africanists. We want to see better for the black race in general. You do have some proud red, white, and blue patriots just popping out the ground. I don't know where they coming from, but it's a lot of these. But it's one thing you said, the delineation thing. Like you use delineation the same way the FBA uses it, and I don't see a problem with delineation or yeah, the delineation part. Like, what's your problem with that? I don't see the problem with that one.
Yeah. My problem with delineation, it comes from the same vocabulary list that Tariq Nasheed has on his
Yeah,
website
yeah,
that
you know,
everybody ends up using, right? Just like lineage. Lineage, you never heard lineage before.
well,
You
I
never.
heard lineage and delineation, but he uses both of those words
Well, they're
wrong. So
synonymous. If you have a lineage, then you have to delineate. But how do you have a lineage back to Africa? Because he likes to say he has three unique lineages. He has the European lineage, he has the Aboriginal Native lineage, and lastly, but surely, the African lineage that he punches down on, talks the most shit about, and expects us to like understand that he gives a fuck about Africa when he has nothing but to say, he talks down. And so, anyways, the rest of the people that use the same vocabulary end up doing the same minstrel shows that he be doing on his TikTok lives. And so they get his swag from him, they get his lingo, they get his twang from him. And so that's what pisses me off about this whole delineation. And most and foremost, everybody, like, okay, you have different tribes in Africa. You can be Yoruba, you can be this, that. That doesn't mean delineation. It just means that these people ended up migrating within the African continent and coming to their own languages, their own culture. The delineation, we're all going to have problems. The United States, they're not all so united as you think. Not all black Americans think alike. Some black Americans are Democrat, some are Republican. You see, the FBAs are really against Democrats, black or white. And so, and then you got, let's not talk about the churches. Let's not talk about what religious sect you're from, right? Which would split it up more. Let's not talk about the city folks versus the country folks, right? Let's not talk about the house Negroes and the field Negroes. Let's not talk about how United States is not so united. Okay, so we have the same conflict here. Maybe it's just so foreign to the black American because they choose not to be African American. They choose not to find their affinity to Africa to understand what's going on there and see it. And see it like we see Europeans fighting amongst each other. You don't see Europeans delineating from other European cultures. They all become white. They're all on code when it comes to them being on code. For some reason, us black folks, we want to delineate from the continent while being attached to it. While being tethered to the continent, you want to delineate. So that's
yeah.
my problem.
So when they use delineation, I think they mean like let's become a whole separate race outside the African race, and I think that's wrong. But as far as delineation and saying, look, we are our unique ethnic group, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Like I get what you're saying. They do use it and say, oh no, we're not African, we're a whole separate race. That's historically, scientifically, all type of different ways. That's inaccurate. But like having cultural pride and saying, look, this is our culture, this is what we did, this is our our history. Like it's nothing wrong with that, and that's the problem I have with some people. They think that part is a problem. Like
I
that
hear
is
you,
no.
Draco.
Everybody else could do that. You get what
And
I'm saying?
Draco,
So that is one point they have right.
Sorry to cut you off. To be honest with you, Draco, I don't have a problem with people having their own ethnicity and wanting to be recognized by a certain time frame. I do kind of have a problem with the time frame because they're saying since chattel slavery, so they're only willing to recognize their ethnicity once oppression hit them. Not when we came here from fresh off the boats. Some of us were marooned. Some of us got our freedom. Some of us were able to flee to break up the colonies that were trying to set, their knee on our neck and trying to brand us. You know, some of us made it out, you know, and before we got caught up in chattel slavery. So do those people don't count? So
Right.
that's one aspect I have with FBA, because they say chattel slavery, right? But then they contradict themselves, because Tariq Nasheed has 15 he has 1526 on the year of the start. He has 1526 as the year of the start, so now he's contradicting himself. Then we have ADOS, right? I don't have a problem with ADOS. You know, they're not talking about delineation completely. They didn't use that word. It was specifically Tariq and the whole FBA movement. And FBA split from ADOS. I hope you know that. And
Right.
then you have Solon, right? And so you're going to have different enclaves of different groups that want to identify the way they. I don't have a problem with that. I feel like the only problem I have is with the xenophobia and the punching down on the African continent, and and lastly, these recent African immigrants, whether they be the East Africans, whether they be anyone on the continent, because that's how they want to group us up. We don't group up. They don't like to be grouped up. American Indians or FBAs don't want to be grouped up with the whole continent of America, but they love to group up all Africans on the continent of Africa. How does that make sense, Draco?
But let me ask you this: do you check like other groups when they disrespect
Of
Black
course.
Americans or African Americans?
Yeah. That's
Good.
how I started this
Good.
whole thing. That's how I started this whole thing. And
Cause like you said, you haven't seen me check no FBI. I haven't seen you check none of them. Like it's like I see this be going on, and like I seen you sitting up in panels, just chilling with these people. So it's like when they very highly disrespectful. So it's like
yeah. When
I'm
you
not
want
telling
to,
you how to move.
when
If that's how you move, that's how you move. It's like that.
when people roast, there's a thin line between roasting and disrespecting, and then there's a thin line between xenophobia and racism, right? So you choose when people clap back, and so, but I'm doing better at not I'm leading by example, I feel like, because everybody's gonna get hurt about what they tell about them. You know, if I tell you my family comes from Mexico and my family comes from Eritrea, you know, they're gonna take that and I'm gonna become a tether automatically. You know what I mean? They're not gonna understand my blackness in those regions. They're not going to and I don't need their validation for that. You know what I mean? I don't need their validation for that. Give me a second. Draco, can you introduce the new guest? Give me a
Now,
second.
one second though.
I got
I
somebody
just
else.
got one more thing though. The clapback. I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna leave it alone. You
No,
talk about the clapback. That's
I
like
need.
it's gonna be a never ending cycle because some FBA people, quote unquote, are clapbacking at other people. So it's like, oh, where
Yeah.
you get them that excuse, they just clapping back. Is this
No. So that's why I'm
never ending
saying,
cycle?
Draco. That's why I'm saying I'm getting better at not reacting, you know, and leading by
Yeah.
example. You feel me? But shit is gonna be said regardless. But Draco, can you please, bro? Can you introduce the new guest? Let me be right back. I got somebody calling me right now.
Shit, I know KD. Shit, KD, just introduce yourself and get into the panel.
Draco, what up, my brother, man? Vibes, what's going on? Appreciate you having me up. Foundation of Black American.
Shit, I guess he wants you to address the prompt. This nigga just gonna put me on my duty, but
Oh yeah. My bad. I'm behind the wheel too. My fault. So can a Black American be Pan African? The majority of Pan Africanists are Black Americans. That's the thing. The majority of Pan Africanists are Black Americans. We have been the Michael Jordan. If the diaspora, even though a lot of us don't consider ourselves as part of the diaspora, I'm gonna just say this for this context. If the diaspora was the NBA, Foundation of Black Americans would be Chicago Bulls in the '90s with Michael Jordan. Like that would be us all day. But since then, that season or that era is over now. You know what I mean? We kind of considering ourselves in a league of our own at this point, you know what I'm saying, for our own reasons. You know what I mean?
see, the only thing you just talking about, we not a part of the diaspora. That going to that pretendianism shit. You get what I'm saying? Like we could be our own distinct ethnic group, a part of the same group. Cool. Like You don't even gotta fuck with them people, but to like start changing history and saying that we descend from Geronimo and all this shit, like that's where this shit get weird. Like we helping Trump and them, they you feel me, they taking down history and all this shit. And we was like, oh yeah, we just gonna go here and help them. And we helping them alleviate all they crimes they did against us. Cause they could say, look, man, y'all motherfuckers was already here and y'all made peace treaties with us. Y'all just let us come over here and set up shop. Y'all made peace treaties. That's what's gonna happen because we erasing the history of what really happened. So
Well,
I
nah.
don't
Well,
know.
let me push back a little bit against that, right? So, as far as what comprises FBA lineage, it's not that we are 100% indigenous. You know what I'm saying? That'd be disingenuous for anybody to say that. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm saying for anybody to say that when they know what the FBA is, we don't reject we don't reject the part of our lineage that did come from the transatlantic slave trade. However, we don't reject the part of our lineage that is indigenous. And if we're gonna talk about the erasure of history, we got to talk about Walter Plecker and the reclassification, because that did happen. That's something that's on the books that took place. A lot of black people were already here. You know what I'm saying? People don't like to talk about that enough. You know what I'm saying? So it's in two different realms. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about the erasure of history.
No, for sure. But it's like if you saying that you had some of that ancestry, you gotta be accurate with that. Like you might have some that in your ancestry, but them folks wasn't black. Those wasn't black people. Like a lot of people do have Native American blood, but those people wasn't black. That's the part that make the whole slippery slope right there. Those people weren't black. We gotta tell the truth. Like,
So what you
and we
saying,
gotta
Pig?
tell the truth that those people own slaves too. You get me? Like,
Oh yeah, no, that's a fact. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of our own people, see, again, there's context and nuance with everything. A lot of our own people own slaves too. But why was that? They was buying their families back to reunite with them. You know what I'm saying? So but now, so when you say that the indigenous people wasn't black, you making reference to the Siberians?
I mean, if that's what y'all want to call them, but yeah, like if you do have native blood, it's gonna be them quote unquote Siberian people. It's not gonna be no black people who look similar to some Africans or Aboriginal people. Like these are the two different people groups for real we talking about. And if we gonna be like delineating, and we gonna say, man, fuck Africa, we gotta say fuck the Choctaw, all these people, they held us as slaves. So these people sold us, these motherfuckers held us captive. We gotta say fuck everybody, you get what I'm saying? We can't just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna cling on to this part of my ancestors. Look, we gotta say fuck all them people. Fuck the European, fuck all of them, you get me?
You know what? My position with that is this. I'm about embracing what the lineage and the culture is now. That's part of the reason why, you know what I'm saying, you don't see me walking around in no dashikis or nothing like that. Neither do you see me. I mean, I don't knock nobody that does this. I'm just talking for KD1. Like I ain't running around with a feather in my head neither. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like what we are right now is cultural enough. Like we are the culture right now as it presents itself. You know what I'm saying? But
So what you
man, for
wearing,
the people
KD? What you wearing?
that shit, man, a Black American urban streetwear. You know what I'm saying? You feel
From
me?
China? From China, KD? Or black owned?
A little bit of both, but I'll tell you what, whoever manufactures it, one thing that distinguishes it is how we wear it. You see what I'm saying? It's the way we rock what we rock. You know what I'm saying? That's what has everybody else been mimicking us. Cause like hell, even when it came down to Tommy Hilfiger reportedly, you know what I'm saying? He went on Oprah to shut this down, but these crackers be lying. But let's just go with the thought that Tommy Hilfiger couldn't stand black people. Yet and still, when you think of Tommy Hilfiger, most of the time you thinking about black folks rocking that. You know what I'm saying? By black folks, I mean foundational Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? We make that shit hot. Really, none of these brands would be shit without us. To be real, who else make Nike hot?
Well, that's what I'm saying though. With us even rocking the brand, right? The brand is just the brand, and so you got Prada, you got Gucci, those families that profited off that black dollar, that went back to their you see, it never reciprocated back to the black community. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's even though you swagged it out and you made it
yeah.
popular for them, it never trickled down back to the black communities.
No, that's true. But that's when you get to talking about economics. But when we get to talking about cultural expression, you know what I'm saying? That's part of it.
Yeah, so you're
Now,
investing.
not to
Yeah, you're
like now,
investing.
not to mention though. I'm saying you've had Cross Colors, you have Fubu, Rockaware. You know what I'm saying? Even G Unit, Cool by Ti,
Fat Albert.
Carl Kanai. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Fat Albert. You know what I'm saying? Like we've had plenty of our own brands, and I will say we do need to start making those brands the thing again, because it don't really make no sense that we fell off of that. But our style is our style though. You know what I'm saying? Whether we rocking our own brands or if we unfortunately empowering what I'm saying, somebody else.
Well, and I think that's what's so dangerous for the rest of the communities when black people take ownership of their own brands and their own entrepreneurship and do their own thing. I would go for that as well. But like you said, brother, that's why there's so many different sects of black identity. Whether it's Solon, they can do the feather in their head, and they can talk about how they intermingled with other Native American and Native American culture, as bad as they were as well, with integrating with white people and created the blood quantum to keep black people out. They also were unrecognized tribes, right? When we're talking about the Gullah Geechees, the Seminoles, and people that do relate back to Africa. I think the biggest we just have to, we're either going to have to pick a side or just be to understand that we can't be a part of erasure of other people's cultures too, when they fought the Europeans just as much as we did. But on the flip side, they also integrated, so I mean it's hard, it's really hard to tell. But we do have a new guest up here. I do want to introduce Braden. Go ahead, Braden, introduce yourself with your race, your ethnicity, where you're from, and you can chime in.
I'm Nigerian, I'm black, African, from the UK.
Okay, welcome to panel, sister. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this whole question is kind of funny to me because when it comes to Pan-Africanism, it's only really Americans that uphold it, practice it. Didn't it come from who started it? That Trinidadian guy. So it's never really been an African thing, first of all. So I'm trying to understand where this question come from. Who else are Pan-Africanists apart from them?
It can be anyone that understands that they have African roots at the end of it, So wherever you got dropped off on the boat, we're all just one boat stop away. That's the kind of understanding of it, and understanding that it's just like I was telling Draco, it's pretty much a lifestyle. It's pretty much to see upliftment within all black people that do resonate with the sentiment of having Africanity in their blood, in their ancestry, in their lineage, having some kind of attachment to the continent,
Are you African?
Yeah. East African. I'm also Afro-Mexican, so we have our own Atlantic slave trade through the Spanish, not the English. So you don't, where are you from? Again, the UK?
Nigeria. I'm
Oh,
Nigerian.
Nigeria. Okay, so you West
so
Africa.
So we've never really been Pan-Africanists at all. We don't really care for that nonsense.
Okay, and that's fine. And do you see Pan-African being decisive or what was the word I'm looking for? Why don't you believe in it, or why don't you see any value in it?
Because we don't even get along on a continent. So
Yeah, and most Black Americans would say that. That's what their argument. They say, why are we going to be a part of this if you guys can't get it together back on the continent? So they always.
That's why I'm confused. The Africans talking about Pan-Africanism. We're not the ones that started it. We're not the ones that practice it. Let's be for real.
So when you talk about being African pride is a Black pride. It within the whole continent. You know what I mean? Whether We have more affinity to each other than we would ever have with any other race of people, from Europeans and down and go, go down the line about all the other people that you have less in commonality with than the brothers and sisters on the continent. But if you're not for unification, right? If you just think Nigeria against the African continent and that's how you want to keep it, then I can understand your mindset. And if that's that you want to go to war with the whole African continent
That's
instead of
not what I
unifying
said.
with
Why you
it,
That
put,
shit be so backward. I don't be
that's
getting
not what I
fuck like.
said. Why are you putting words in my mouth? I never said that.
I'm assuming because you don't believe in Pan Africanism.
Yeah, and real quick, let me say this. Let me say this on behalf of FBAs too. Ain't no FBAs running around talking about going to war with the African continent either.
I only say that, Brady, because you said we're going at war with each other already. That is not true. There are some civil disputes. There are some tribal stuff going on. That's obvious, right? But I think what I was trying to tell Draco is that as being people that are abroad, as being Akatas ourselves, like leaving the continent, because we use that term to describe our own family members that have left to the West, and like grew up differently, But I think it's there's a good reason for that because of the conflict that's happening on the continent, and we have the responsibility and the burden of our shoulders to look at that whole issue going on the continent and have a different perspective about it, living out here, and go back to our homeland and help, the way we can help without being so conflicted about these. And I can definitely understand about how those conflicts end up impacting us on the continent because our families are tied to that. We've lost people, we've lost family members and stuff. And that's what makes it so more emotionally attached to why don't we get along. But same thing happened in America between the Civil War and these different colonies and that turned into new nation states. And America is not so united. The Caribbean is not so united as well. So, I mean, we're just trying to find some cohesiveness within, like, maybe not like with skin color, but maybe it's a land tied back to a land, maybe tied back to a continent, And so I think it's just to uplift people wherever we're at and to like just to give motivation and upliftment to our own people. And when we look at things that happened in America that were for Black people, a lot of people were like, well, those are our people too. If we're attached to them through the whole traumatic experience of the Atlantic slave trade to the point of chattel slavery and Jim Crow, emancipation, Jim Crow, Black codes, civil rights, it's who's to say what time. This is what I hate about linear timelines and how Europeans stamp when white people took ownership of us and branded us. Now we belong to this group of white people that owned us, compared to other European colonies or countries that took advantage of Africa as well, and not see the commonality of that suffrage, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you this, Bob. So, do you think Black Americans are required for Pan-Africanism to work? Like, it's safe to say that like most Black Americans are or were Pan-Africanists, but you got some that's falling off and they putting down their red, black, and green flag. So let's say that all
hmm
Black Americans follow suit. Would that hurt Pan-Africanism? Like, or
Well,
can y'all
no. So
still
what you
succeed
have,
with that?
Draco, I think what you have is people putting down their own flags, right? So the Black American Heritage flag, we know that meant other people from Africa. It included people within that flag, but they chose to delineate to the point where now they made it separate. They made that flag separatists. And so when you're gang banging out here, right? When you fucking put your flag down, so Black Americans is like, who are the people really doing this unification of Africa? Because we're delineating from Africa. We want nothing to do with the continent or people that choose to have that unification. So they went after Pan-Africanism for some reason. We didn't, the Pan-African wasn't even a thing until it was brought up by Black Americans being an issue for them while their delineation process was still in process, because there's no due date on delineation. There's no due date. There's no expiration date on when this is going to happen. It's just like, let's do this until we get that check, that reparations check, that we're going to seclude ourselves, isolate ourselves to the point to dwindle our numbers to the point where, um, so I just don't see the end goal of that. But I feel like that's what it breeds. It breeds this kind of, so that who they came after? They came after Dr. Umar. And we know Dr. Umar is not like the leader of Pan Africanism. No, it's
that's
not.
y'all prince.
It's not, bro.
That's
No,
that's your boy.
it's not though. Just like you say, Tariq Nasheed is not your leader. Just like you say, Tariq Nasheed is not your leader for FBA. It is not. It is not. And shout out to Umar. Shout out to Umar.
That's
He just
your
opened.
boy.
He finally just opened his school. Shout out to him, bro. Shout out to him. Whatever.
I'm fucking with you, man.
He gonna get it how he gonna get it. It's whatever, bro. But like again, so I think it's all, Draco, just to answer your question, I think it's all just based off other people focusing and targeting their perceived enemy in the cause of delineation.
Yeah, bro. I don't. Yeah, that's why I said that's these people.
Oh shit, buddy went on T-Time.
Seriously, why do Pan-Africanists get so much hate though? Why? Like, they're not really bothering anyone. They just have their own set of beliefs.
I can answer that. The number one
Look,
grievance is
I don't.
wait,
Hold on one second. I don't think they deserve the hate, but this the thing. Like Vibes, you said the separatist flag. Like what? That's the problem I have with y'all. Is like why can't people have their own flag? Why can't people have their own shit? You get what I'm saying? Because everybody who rep that flag not against
You can't be claiming African ancestry. Look, you can't be claiming African lineage and African ancestry if you're gonna claim separatism with a flag saying that you're not African anymore.
So come on, be real, bro. Like Haitians,
Especially
they wave
when
their flag and they know.
hold on, Draco. Especially when the Black American Heritage flag, the creator of that flag, included all of the African diaspora within that flag. The daughter just came out with a video talking about what that flag actually meant. So now people went ahead.
I mean, she's talking about Black Americans. Like, so if they was over here and, but yeah, I get that point. But why can't people have their own shit though? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem I have with some Pan-Africanism.
Right. Like I said before, I don't have a problem with you banging your own flag about your timeline.
You called it a separatist flag, like damn near like it's a T group, like it's a.
Well, I didn't say all that. I didn't say a hate group. I just said separatist in the sense of that they want to delineate. That's a part of separating yourself from your own lineage. If you claim African lineage and you want to separate yourself from chattel slavery on forward, there's an issue with that, Draco.
So you don't you will have a problem with a Jamaican flag, a Haitian flag, a Barbados.
They're not saying they're not African. They're not saying they're not African.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we agree. Like, I have a problem with the people saying they're not African, but everybody who flies that flag and saying that's our shit, everybody's not saying that we're not African.
I don't have a problem with that.
We saying that's our shit.
Nationality, like, I have no problem with that. Of course not. No.
What's wrong with saying we are our own people? What's wrong with that?
That's fine. It's the punching down. It's the xenophobia. You know that, Drake.
Okay, so yeah, we agree then. But calling it a separatist flag, that causes more of a confusion.
I say because now we have a lot of FBA. We have a lot of closeted FBAs calling themselves Black Americans. We have a lot of pretendians calling themselves Black Americans under that flag. You feel me?
I mean, they would all be the same people. They just had different mindsets.
Well, they need their own fucking flags. They need their own fucking
just
flags.
Like you're a Eritrean or whatever, right? All your people don't believe in the same shit. Like I lean more towards Pan-Africanism.
Of course not.
Some people
but
might
all of our people can come under. All of our people can come under the Pan-African flag at least. You feel me?
Right, and like the way you're talking about is like that flag cancels out the Pan-African flag. Like some people could fly them flags right next to each other. Some people might say F the Garvey flag. You get what I'm saying? So it's not a separatist flag. Like it's like
I hear what you're saying.
Cancel each other out.
I hear what you're saying. But some people, when they're presenting their argument with that flag, they are being completely separate. That's what I'm saying. There are closeted FBAs, closeted pretendians under the Black American Heritage flag.
Yeah, they don't speak for that flag, and pretendians and FBA, they are allowed to fly that flag because they are Black Americans, just like Pan-African.
Yeah, kind of not though, because you got pretendians using the Black American heritage flag. Nothing about that flag claims to be indigenous. You got you got you got FBA that go against Pan Africanism and the unity amongst the diaspora under that flag, and you can't be that under that flag because it has symbolism going back to Africa, paying homage to Africa. So like, you gotta kind of pick your, you gotta kind of pick which side you actually want to be on.
Nah. Real quick, cause I've been waiting to ask this question for a long time. So for everybody who runs around here calling people pretendians, all right. See, here's the other
Oh,
piece
it's
to
an
it.
actual
A lot of
factual
these,
thing.
hold on, wait. I ain't cut you off. Please don't cut me off. A lot of people who call themselves indigenous, right?
You mean
They've done their
pretendians?
genealogy. They've done their genealogy, and they haven't found an
Genealogy doesn't
African,
make you
no
indigenous.
sleeve chat. No. Yes, it does.
Genealogy doesn't make you.
If you
It
can
can't
trace,
make you indigenous.
listen. See, look, this is another problem with the Pan Africanists. They don't let you finish when you're cooking. See,
You're not cooking though.
that's the other disrespectful
Just
part.
let
Cause you
him
won't let me
land.
get the fuck out
You're
my
not
kitchen.
cooking,
Just let him
Anyway,
land.
ma'am.
like,
I don't
look.
need assistance. You
So
worry
like,
about you. I worry about me.
you sound
I
like
see
that.
how
But
y'all
anyway,
operate this panel. No
And
decorum.
guys,
but
Red is one of
yeah.
my mods, so just respect him as well.
Oh, gee whiz. Okay. But yeah. So anyway, a lot of these people who are privy to the indigenous information, these are people who've done their homework, and a large part of their homework, they've done it on their own families. So when you saying somebody is a pretending and they coming to you with information that they got about their very own bloodline, that's extremely disrespectful. That's very disrespectful. And yet we want to embrace some ancient African ancestors that we're not even sure about from 500, 600 years ago.
See, all of that jaw jacking, and you prove nothing. So the
You
thing
see,
is that
he gonna
see
call a
all of
jaw
that
jack.
jaw.
He
Hold
gonna
on,
call a jaw
let me
jack.
help you out now. Now let me help you out because we listen to you, right? And the thing is that genealogy only goes back a couple of hundred years. Indigenous Americans have human remains in this earth that go back 10,000 years. And then when it comes to this supposed false connection to Africa, the DNA shows that Black Americans trace back to Africa. The haplogroups that we possess, I'm sorry, there you go. Let me help you out again. So hold up, I'm sorry, let me help you out. So hold up, there we go again. This is, I know it might be a glitch with your app. All you got to do is make sure that you have a current update with Apple, and then go make sure your app is updated, because apparently it's a glitch. It's a glitch. It's a glitch in the system because hold on, hold tight. So hold on, I'm sorry, let me help you. So the thing is that African Americans, Black Americans, even these pretendians are not indigenous to this hemisphere. It is impossible for us to have been indigenous to this hemisphere due to its climate. We don't have the quick reaction, the ADAR, that indigenous people have. Our haplogroups come from Africa and Africa alone. None of that's DNA. When it comes to the human remains, we're gonna go to archaeology. All of the human remains on this hemisphere only point to one group of people being the indigenous people of this land. So Black people can't be on this land because they're indigenous to Africa. That's archaeology, the anthropology. There's no support. Hold on, let me help you out again. Let me help you out again. So hold on, there we go. Stop it. There we go. So the anthropology also points to Black people coming from Africa. Even the rhythm in which we speak comes from Africa. We have no indigenous tongue to this land, but we do to Africa. So hold on, stop it. There we go. And then hold on, let me help you out.
We don't talk like that.
This Paul. We're patient over here. We're patient with the learning. We're patient with the learning. It's okay. It's all right. So, and then when it comes to historical figures, none of our historical figures have ever claimed to be indigenous. Why during the Civil Rights Act weren't we marching for getting our homeland back? because this is not our homeland. In fact, during the civil rights era, we sought to strengthen the bonds and connections with those from the motherland. So there is nothing that shows that we are here. So I don't care how much genealogy that they do, it won't prove that they're indigenous. And when it comes to DNA, DNA can disprove genealogy. Genealogy can never disprove DNA.
Okay, so first of all, there's no diagnostic nucleotide to determine what ancestors
That is a
came
good
from
point, Red.
500 years ago. There's no diagnostic nucleotide to do that. And even when you get on Ancestry.com, it tells you these aren't exact DNA matches. It goes based off of resemblance. Because again, that's the only thing it can work off of. Because again, there is no diagnostic nucleotide for that. All right. Now, in terms of
Understandable, but with that said, though, this is
the host was passing me the ball back, bro. The host passed me the ball back. I'm saying he said all this shit. I gotta address it now. As far as any of our ancestors having indigenous ties to this land, the very first black man to die in the Revolutionary War, the very first man period to die in the Revolutionary War, Crispus Attucks, he was not an African. He was a black indigenous man. All right, and there's plenty more with that type.
Oh, that won't be allowed to pass here. Crispus Attucks was a African descendant. He's not indigenous. That's not going to be allowed to pass. Black people are not indigenous here. Where's one human remains in this earth?
We could be indigenous everywhere else.
Yeah. So I'm not talking about everybody everywhere else. So stop this, because there are darker people in Australia. There must have been darker people here. Well, we can prove that there were
Africans.
So because they're not African.
Africans, that's Pan-Africanism.
Because they're not African.
no, they're not African.
Australians are not African and they're not black.
Y'all
At
was
all.
calling everybody African. Anybody that's
Who
melanated on
no,
Earth,
we
that's-
weren't. We've never
No,
called them
we're not.
black.
Are they a part of a different haplogroup?
Yes,
So
yes,
I'll
they are,
explain it to you,
mother.
ma'am.
Matter of fact,
So yes,
mother,
so ma'am, they're a totally different group of people, as are the Negritos of the Philippines, as are the Melanesians, the Polynesians, the Ottoman Islands. They're dark, but they're not black. People are conflating darkness with blackness. So when people groups left out of Africa tens of thousands of years ago, they left out with certain characteristics. Some of these people maintain these characteristics due to where. Hold on, let me help you out there, fella. Some of these people maintain some of these characteristics due to where they landed. Similar type atmospheres. So like if they went from a tropical climate to a tropical climate, there was no reason for them to lose their darkness. And like some of our Melanesian and Pacific Island brothers and sisters, they landed in a climate that was conducive, and they maintained, some of them, a curly hair texture. But they're not us, and we're not them. They're dark in complexion compared to white tea people, but they're not black, nor are they African.
and as a matter of fact, we have the haplogroups that support this, right? That's why the Australian,
Absolutely.
haplogroup wise, he's more akin to an Asian. Just like the Negritos, just like the Melanesians, just like the Pacific Islanders. They're more akin to Asians, really. We only got 3 African haplogroups. Haplogroup A, haplogroup B, haplogroup E. And that's paternally. And maternally, as for the women, we have haplogroup L. That's it. That's all indigenous to Africa.
Now, you guys finished with all this pseudoscience. What have you accomplished?
Pluto, sir, this is accredited science. And as a matter of fact, it's how we even prove that, just like they was telling us crazy, like we was crazy for believing the indigenous Egyptians might have been black. We already have the haplogroups to prove. King Ramses III, which would mean his father and so on and so forth, his haplogroup was E, which is indigenous to Africa, sir. So that's not.
Can I ask my question? Can I ask my
I
question?
actually wanted to answer.
What I'm saying is that you guys, all this pseudoscience, all this information, what have you achieved as Pan-Africanists. The continent of Africa is the poorest continent in the world. The Caribbean islands are controlled by outside European sources. The Brazilians are not even functioning as BLK people.
And America is ran by the small hats.
You're,
But with that said, some would say that
well,
Africans don't create nothing. America itself as a country is modeled after Greece, three countries, three civilizations: Egypt, Greece, and Rome. Now, Egypt is indigenous to Africa, and Rome and Greece are
let's
children of Egypt. They learned everything they got from the African,
let
and that's who the Americas is based off of, oddly enough.
okay. I'm talking about right now, 2026. Economically, you're not achieving. Academically, you're not achieving. Africa is a wasteland. It's like Putin's.
A wasteland that you do business in,
It's
and a continent that you do business in. It's a wasteland, and you have multiple businesses there. So either you feel
someone's
like that, so you say that, but you do business there, just like
when
the Arab, just like the Chinese, just like the white tea man, oddly enough. Not to mention the fact that we've been knowing that since colonization, this has happened. Now, if you want to say that we're a
are you
wasteland,
going
fine, then you go ahead and do that.
are
But
you
it's a
going
business, but it's a wasteland that you do business in.
are
That's kind of crazy to me, because I
let
know I wouldn't drop no money in a wasteland. If
well I
if anything, it would be a wiser move
you're
to make your money here in the Americas.
you're let me talk. Let me get a chance to say something. Let me explain something to you. All this Pan-Africanist, all this who's an African, who's BLK, who's Native Indigenous, you people are arguing about the wrong things at the same time while you're fighting against.
Oh, but I watched Pan-Europeanism work like the '96 Bulls. I watched
They,
Pan-Europeanism work like the 2016,
they,
2017 Warriors. I watched
they,
Pan-Europeanism work like the 1985 Chicago Bears. So you shitting on Pan-Africanism, and I'm not even a hard-body Pan-Africanist. With that said, I can't sit there and act like Pan-Europeanism. The entire globe is fluent in at least one European language. Now,
the,
something in you should question that.
Hey, you know what?
can
Mova, I think
Red,
that's how
let
you
me
say it.
finish what I'm saying.
Mova G Shy. Hold on,
Let
brother.
let me finish what I'm saying. But let's have a dialogue. That's the problem with you people. You don't want
No,
you only want your opinion.
yeah, but everybody's
Opinion?
tired of you. Everybody's tired of you bashing Africa.
I'm
It's
not
kind of
bashing
getting
nothing.
old.
And Red, if you want to bash Africans,
Hold on, I'm
fine.
back. I'm
But
back.
what I
Hold
said
on,
was
doctor,
pure facts.
please. But doctor, just please, for
Let me
one time,
complete. Let
just
me complete what I'm
respect the
saying.
people. No. We're not here to cater to your. We know your position already. So just let us explain
I haven't said anything, sir.
our position, and then you can respond, doctor. Please. Go ahead, guys. I'm sorry. I just
Yeah,
got back.
like common sense admitted. Like, isn't Russia and Ukraine and multiple Europeans at WAR right now? But even at that, even as you say this, doctor, again, if you don't like Pan-Africanism, fine, I get it. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I ain't watched Pan-Europeanism take over the world. We not about to go ahead and lie like that. Go ahead, lie before the 5 people here on this panel and the 18 people in the crowd. Lie to them. Tell me Pan-Europeanism ain't running the world. Tell me all 7 continents ain't fluent in at least one European language. Go ahead, get it off your chest. Tell me Pan-Europeanism
The
ain't work
problem,
to the T.
the problem is you people do not know how to
No, you're gonna get it off your chest. Say Pan-Europeanism didn't work.
They're organized.
And tell.
Did it work or not?
Are Black Americans pushing back on all those other illegal European languages still floating around in America on your soil?
Listen,
No,
listen
Are
to
are,
there's
are
listen to
you
what
nothing
I'm
we can
deported?
do
saying.
Are
about it
you are
now.
you
Listen to what I'm
doctor? Are
saying.
you? Oh, go
The
ahead.
reason you're not successful is because you're pandering on something that doesn't make no sense. You're pushing ideologies that you feel is good for me, and it's not good for me. Okay, every shoe don't fit the same foot. So you
It's
guys,
sure to work for the European.
can I finish? I can. Can I finish my thought?
Yeah.
What?
After you finish, we're gonna have to introduce Muya. Muya, I'm sorry, we haven't let you talk at all. You can introduce yourself after. Go ahead, doctor. Land your point.
Okay,
Make the
let me
point,
do.
and then we're gonna let the sister
Okay, let me do
below.
my summation. Listen to me. I'm sitting here listening to you people talk. Africa is falling apart. It's the poorest continent on the earth with the richest resources. The Caribbean is controlled by Europeans, white tea Americans, Asians, and Canadians. Okay? Brazil is controlled by white tea Portuguese. You people keep talking like y'all doing something successful, and you're not, because you're not focused on the right thing. It doesn't matter what a person call themselves. It doesn't matter whether they identify as an African or not. They're embarrassed with Africa, and they're embarrassed to be African because it's such a failure and it has all these resources. At the same token, the economies in America is dwindling for the American BLK because we got all these people coming here looking at us, acting like us, talking about they want to Pan-Africanists with us, and they're just basically coming here to get a soda, a sandwich, and shelter. There is no real unity amongst BLK people, Africans, Caribbeans, Brazilians. There's no unity. Everybody's fighting for the little resources that the white tea Americans and Europeans, Asians, and Canadians could control. That's why you don't have anything for yourself, because you don't have a plan to develop economically, socially. You don't have a plan to get your own businesses, your own schools, your own economy going. All you want to do is be African, and that's not good
Like I
enough.
said,
If
like I
African
said
was so
before,
good,
doctor,
if African was so
we know your
good,
position.
if
We
African
know
was,
your position. We've heard this so many times, doctor. We know. Again, if you don't want to subscribe to Pan-Africanism, that's okay. Nobody's forcing you to be a part of this. It's an ideology as well. It's a way of life for some others. When you contradict yourself, where we have nothing but resources, and those resources are being taken advantage of by European powers as well, and you understand how the destabilization works back to America and how America profits off of that. But you, the same, don't have anything that you can harbor for yourself as Black Americans, as FBA as well. So I know this whole delineation process looks like it's a good plan because we're all fighting amongst each other, but America is not so united as we think it is. But with that, let's go ahead and introduce my sister down there below. Muva, welcome to the panel. Can you introduce yourself? And if you want to respond to anything that's been said, go ahead.
Hey y'all, peace, love, and light to everybody in the chat and on the panel. Please tap the live, y'all, and gift the host and everything. I'm a Black American. Can a Black American be a Pan-African? I think anyone in the African diaspora can be a Pan-African if they so choose. I personally, I was a Pan-African for a while. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with Pan-Africanism. I think I personally started to center my ethnic group just because I don't want to spread myself thin. I think that it is okay to delineate any group to delineate. Delineation doesn't need to mean alienation. It just means focusing on the specific harm done to your people. And I know that there has been historical harm to FBA, African Americans, ADOS, we're all the same people here in this country. So that's what I choose to focus on. I choose to fight for our repair and our restitution here, while also, of course, still rooting for Black and Indigenous people all over the world to gain their repair and restitution. And I land.
Yeah, we're not indigenous. The thing is
I
that
don't think she meant it like that.
I
I
said
think
Black
she.
and Indigenous people.
yeah, I'm just saying we're not. I'm just making it clear that we're not indigenous. I didn't say that it was related to what you said, but the thing is that when you focus on Pan Africanism, it is essentially focusing on the harms that are done to individualistic groups. So, can you be Pan African and be pro African American. Yes, you can. People act like you have to choose, and this is what the mythology of ADOS and FBA try to sell you, that you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, that you have to choose between Africa and African Americans, and you don't. That's the trick, the sleight of hand that they try to do, and it won't spread you thin, because while there are African Americans that are worried about what's going on in the community, and while there are African Americans that are worried about what's going on at the city level, there can be African Americans that also focus on what's going on at the state level, and then there's African Americans that can focus on what goes on across the country as states communicate with states to make sure that that level is handled, as there can be African Americans that communicate with the global diaspora, that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. But what ADOS and FBA seek to tell you is that you need to disassociate yourself with another group to focus on thyself, which is all from the truth. When in a time when other groups are amassing not only physical but metaphorical armies against you, this is not a time when we say, I need to get to myself. And it's never been the time. And as far as Pan-Africanism, the reason it starts with us, African Americans and people in the Caribbean, is because that's where it was born. It was born amongst us. And like I've said on previous panels, we are duty bound as African Americans and people in the Caribbean, and even in the Windrush generation, we are duty bound to take it back to Africa and spread it, and let Africans know that because any revolutionary leader that has ever been worth their salt on the continent of Africa has been Pan-Africans, and they have learned it from us. But we are duty bound to take it back to Africa and let them know, no, your age-old tribalism is no good, and Pan-Africanism is your cure. No, your age-old addiction to this puppet leader and him enriching himself is no good, and Pan-Africanism is your cure.
Red, can I ask you a question, a brief question? I know that others want to finish, but it's a great question.
So,
Do you
yes.
feel like, because this is just my personal experience, but because I hear especially the last point you just made, I've never gone to the continent, but I never felt like, or I always felt like I would be received as a foreigner. And even to your last point, when you said that it's our duty to go back,
No,
I don't
that's not what I
see.
said. No, that's not what I said. I said we are duty bound to take Pan-Africanism back. So let's stop that notion too,
Do you
because
feel like they would give us the authority to tell them anything? Like, you know what I'm
yes,
saying?
I
Like,
do. I do
okay.
feel like we have the authority. I mean, Africa. Okay, so the only time I feel like people don't have the authority to speak on something is if they're ignorant of something. I've known a couple of Africans on this app that can run circles around African Americans on African American history, and these people claim to be the proudest of the FBA and the ADOS, but yet they can be ran in the dirt on what they know about their people. So only time like I feel it wrong for some, like I go on African panels and I tell them the same thing that I'm telling you right now. Your tribalism, your dedication to Islam, your dedication to Christianity, your dedication to the foreign dollar and its language is wrong, and it needs to go. I tell them that. I argue with other Africans, and the thing is that once people in the Caribbean and African Americans realize that they are Africans, they'll stop seeing this as some kind of separate fight. The way Europeans see it, or like somehow when we have, and this is where I'm gonna round off with you, ma'am. We have rules, right? Europeans, regardless of those Europeans now being American, will always be European, regardless of I'm American and you can pry this rifle from my cold, darn hands. They're still Europeans. They're Europeans that have been Americanized. Asians that have been in the country for 200, 300 years due to the Iron Railroad are still, whether they have American citizenship or not, are going to always be Asian, and they're going to always be Chinese or Korean or Japanese, etc. But it will always be Asian. But somehow the colonial master has tricked us into believing that the African in the United States, and the African in the Caribbean, and the African in the west coast of Africa are different sects of people, and that's just up their blood. We have the same blood flowing through each one of our veins. Now, granted, African Americans have this larger amount, 20 to 25% European. But if you want to go around claiming your Korean tea and crumpets and croissants, that's more than welcome to do so. But besides that, we're African people.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you
that.
for that. Thank you.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Tether.
Tether.
Respect. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure I'm not echoing. Am I coming through clearly?
Yeah, you're loud and
Yeah,
clear.
you're loud and clear.
Perfect. So yeah, much respect to Red. I do agree with much of what you said, but I think there are two different types of Pan-Africanism. So the Pan-Africanism that is practiced in the diaspora, in America, in the UK, this is one of kind of like a homogenization of all people of African descent into a single social system, a single identity. And I understand why it is this way. I think Pan-Africanism.
That's not Pan-Africanism.
Okay, but I'm trying to draw a distinction. The reason why.
Well, I'm letting you know that's not Pan-Africanism. So
Okay.
any person that seeks to cut off the distinctions between us, like Igbo, Fulani, African American, Jamaican, Haitian, and make us one homogenized group, is not a Pan-African. Matter of fact, if they say they are so, bring them right here, right now, so we can call them out.
But that's a lot of YouTube content creators are pushing this version of Pan-Africanism, this idea that we're all.
Hey, you're using your Bluetooth in your car.
No, I'm just talking clearly. But I've been told that there's an echo.
Yeah, there's an echo when you're off mute. Yeah.
Okay, but I would, if you could just allow me to speak, and then
I think the echo only happens when. Well, now I hear it again. Can you mute up? Everybody, just mute up. Let Tether land his point. I don't think it's his. I think he's just really.
Right, I'll be fast, but just let me speak. Let me just speak really quickly, and I'll land. So the Pan-African, the only version of Pan-Africanism that can work on the continent, work among people who have different ethnic identities, is one that is like an economic and political integration, something like forming a single currency backed by African resources that we can trade in order to benefit each other economically. Like, we have to find a positive sum game. Pan-Africanism, just for the sake of Pan-Africanism, I don't think it's a workable idea. There has to be a bigger goal. It has to be something bigger than just, we're all the same. There has to be like Europeans, their Pan-Europeanism does not make this, they're not doing it just for no reason. They're doing it for economic and political control of their sphere of influence. And I think this is the same version of that's the only version of Pan-Africanism that can actually work. We need to find a way to expand our moral circle to include other people through economic trade and through, something like a currency that we can trade in. But this notion of Pan-Africanism in terms of we all have to be the same person, this is the only thing I think it's a good idea, but I think it has to be bigger than that. And I'll land the plane and mute up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out who says we all have to be the same person, because the very idea of Pan-Africanism is to strengthen the bonds between the indigenous Africans and the diasporic Africans, and to revel that. So, because I get where you guys get it confused, but I don't see how. We are all Africans, but we're all different Africans, African Americans. Jamaicans, Haitians, Igbo, Fulani, South Africans. We're all African, just like Europeans are all European. Europeans don't think that they lose themselves by European. This is an older way of thinking. And I tell this to continental Africa. That somehow by being a Pan-African, I'm going to no longer be Fulani. Or even admitting that we're all African. I'm gonna lose my independent identity and my tribal language. And that's not what that means. Matter of fact, we should be trading our experiences, what it's like to be a Igbo man, what a Fulani man, an African American. We should be trading these I mean, because when I come together with other Africans, not only do we revel in the similarities, we talk about the differences of what we go through and how. And for me to be African, like I hear that a lot nowadays. Like there must be some reward. Me myself, I think it's a selfless service type deal. Everybody wants a reward for being who you are. Europeans don't need any reward, anything other than knowing that the race is the other.
What you're telling us.
Let me help you out there. Other than the race, it's satisfaction for them to know that the race is going to be propelled and held higher and successful. That's enough for them. Every time I hear it from someone else in the diaspora, what do I make from it? How much dollars do I get from it? How does it benefit me? It benefits the entirety of the group. That
What is
should
the
be.
what is the purpose of it? What is it for? Explain to me what is the
So
outcome
here, can I chime in, Red? So oh my, can you guys
Go
unmute him?
ahead,
'Cause
go
it's
ahead, brother.
yeah. So again, it's I would even say like a philosophy or like a way of life, and then more than that, when we're talking about how we, as being the people that are in the diaspora, away from the African continent, I think it's a good way to look from the outside, where we're not caught up. We're the true Akatas, right? We're the Westerners, the African people that we were able to migrate. We were able to go and travel and to go find things when conflict happened there, whether it was a domestic conflict or it was a European intervention conflict, right? So a lot of our people back in the continent that are stuck in those situations, it's hard for them to have a Pan-African kind of worldview when they're dealing with civil disputes, when they're dealing with tribal disputes, and so they can't always see the bigger outcome, the bigger upliftment of all people, because they're stuck dealing with what they have, and with that comes their families, unalivings.
I mean,
My
but right,
father fought the
but where
guerrilla
was
warfares between.
where was
Yeah,
Pan-Africanism
sorry.
born? No, you good. Where was
They say America.
Pan-Africanism born?
They say America.
Yeah, it was.
They
Well,
say
it was
America.
born. It was
Caribbean,
born.
Caribbean too?
Well, it was born in the diaspora. I mean, from the Caribbean to the United
Exactly.
States. This is where it
Right.
was born. That's why when people say they don't even do it on the continent. No, I'm not expecting them to do. I mean, they do it on the continent, but
Exactly. Yeah.
Pan-Africanism was
So
learned from diasporic Africans, and you know why? Because all of a sudden, because of the transatlantic slave trade, Africans that would have never thought about having to work together were thrown together. This is why we
Right.
are duty bound to take back what we have learned for generations. But the
there's
thing
one
is
difficulty.
that
There's one
hold on
difficulty.
one second. So the thing, hold on one second, brother. You got to echo. So the thing is that when everybody keeps asking, what does it do for me? Currently, you're an American. What does being American do for you? Some of you are Frenchmen. What does being an African with French citizenship do for you? Some of you are maybe Asian or citizens of anything, or even dual citizen. What does that do for you currently? So I'm always wondering, for Black people, You always want a payday for being what you actually are.
Okay, the only point I'm making, right, is that in order for this to work the way that you are describing, everybody has to put their race over their ethnicity. So everybody has to be black first, right? And I'm just pointing out that on the continent, in a condition where everybody is black, being black first is not the frame of reference. There is a different racial consciousness on the continent of Africa. So it's not that we don't see that we are black, but in a condition where everybody's black, your ethnic identity comes into the foreground. So to be black is still relevant, but the different tribes or different kingdoms with different histories, different enemies, different worldviews. We need something more than we're all black to arrange and to come together. I'm just trying to figure out what is the purpose of it, other than
And I do want to tackle this a little bit later, guys. Let's get some new people on here. T, I have T waiting. I got Dread. I got Keith, and I got I am. T, go ahead, introduce yourself, and if you want to chime in on what you've heard so far or the prompt.
Yeah. Damn, let me close my patio. Yeah, I'm T, FBA San Francisco by way of Virginia. Yes, it's kind of Black American be a Pan African. I believe so. I believe we set the trend and the tone and made this this thing called Pan Africanism popular, the thing to do for a long time. We've held it up and championed it as we've had the spotlight from the American media and everything like that. Now, I think moving forward, it's wise knowing all of the things that we know, especially putting a spotlight on what's going on in Africa, even the name Africa. This is one point that I've been harping on. Is like, it's very hard for me to identify with a Roman conqueror and say I descend from that or have any connection to Scipio Africanus. I don't come from that. I wasn't conquered by those people. You know what I'm saying? So it's a totally different struggle. And I believe that once the African people, name themselves after a black king from that continent, a conqueror land or something like that, then that would be something that would be easy to follow. You know what I'm saying? But until then, FBA and being Black American is, what we are. And there's so much of a separation that our DNA is identifiably different. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it makes it easier as to connect and find our needs and communicate with each other when we understand who we are and we're not confusing each other for each other and like champion one colonizer over another. And I'll end.
Okay, thank you so much. Dread, go ahead, introduce yourself. Same thing.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you wanted me to address, but because I had a phone call. But one thing, I saw the previous prompt: can Black American be Pan African? Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think Black Americans make the Pan Africanist movements or ideology actually keep it on the forefront of social media and people's minds, because I don't think that the real leaders in Pan Africanism really come from anywhere else outside of the U.S. I mean, maybe there's like a couple, but nobody really pushes the Pan Africanist ideologies more than Black Americans. So it's definitely something that's possible. I don't agree with Pan Africanism, myself. I think I identified and aligned with it as a younger man, but socially and consciously, I grew and evolved, and so I no longer look to that type of ideology. As a matter of fact, I don't align with Pan Africanism at all, and I think it definitely it's waning and it's fading away, and I think that's a good thing.
I would like to say one thing really quickly. So, my father is Igbo, my mother is African American. I'm Igbo, my wife is Yoruba. I see that Pan-Africanism can work. There is a lane for it. There is a room for it, but it has to revolve around a positive sum game, win-win, where both parties benefit. How can we, how can Pan-Africanism benefit all parties involved? And I land the plane. That's my question.
What is our
What is your
common goal?
what is your goal? Why Pan-Africanism don't have a plan and a goal? And this
It
host
might be to
Raj
counter white tea supremacy. I mean,
and the
that's
host,
really
we don't even know what he is. What is his background? What is his ethnicity? What is his race?
He's a
By
Racial solidarity is a goal. Racial solidarity, but there's many different routes to take to get there. That's what I'm
that
saying.
doesn't. But we have that. We have that many years in America, and still there's not a successful plan. There wasn't a strategic plan. In order for the Bible says, in order for two men to walk together, they must agree. That means in unison, understanding that this is the Pacific plan, is to get glass. We have a Pacific, what we're trying to achieve. You people, only thing y'all talk about is old history, pseudoscience, what the DNA is, what the lineage is, but you have no formal plan
Is there
right
racial
now.
solidarity in America right now? Is that what you're saying?
These young people are looking for something right now, something tangible, something that they can hold on to. Economics, education, opportunities, advancement. They're looking for something right now. You're not giving them anything.
Will calling yourself FBA or indigenous make you more competitive, give you more
We have a
economic
plan.
advantage?
We have a structured plan.
How does calling yourself an FBA make you
We
more
have a
competitive?
structured, sir.
What
Sir,
is
I
the
know
plan? Explain the plan.
echo. Sir, we have FBA have a structured plan on how to move our economy forward, how to move our children into academics, how to move our societies from
What is the plan?
incarceration.
What is the plan? What is it? Describe the plan.
Sir, listen to me. Listen to me. There's 50 states in America, correct? In those states, there's a state, there's a city, there's a federal, there's municipal, there's a structure. You have to assess the immediate needs of our people in each state and each municipality and each city. Once you make that assessment, then you can go on and start putting funds into different programs. You can start having meetings and discussing things and organizing. So that's what we're doing. We're doing an analysis
Okay, so you're
and
in
an
an analysis.
assessment
You're
of the
studying. You're
needs
studying it.
of
You're
each
studying it.
community in
Okay.
America. Because
Okay,
South Carolina is different from Chicago.
Right.
Chicago is different from California. California is different from New York. We have to be sensible.
Right, but we do have some new people on the panel who have not yet been introduced, so we do need to allow them to speak. We have first Keith and Ian. So Keith, please, what is your race, your ethnicity, and what are your ideas on the prompt of what you've heard so far? Go ahead, sir.
Can Black Americans be Pan African? I think a lot of things that people is speaking on that. It was years and years ago. I think a lot of Black Americans was into trying to embrace that a lot, but nowadays that really Pan African, that's most. I'm gonna educate y'all. Pan African, most Black people kind of turn their nose up at it. Foundational Black turn their nose up at it because really Pan Africanists they are so racial, speak racial too much. We all know the hatred, we all know the wrong people, but they are directing it, and a lot of foundational Black people don't have that in them as much as one of them. They constantly trying to show us that the white devils. We already know they the white devils. We've been here 5 million years. We know it when they got here. We know that, but they beat it and beat it and beat it in the people that make people keep looking at it in the wrong way. But everybody's understanding it. Pan-Africanism is really, I guess one of your guests said it earlier today. That stuff is kind of gone. And I don't know how y'all keep.
Pan Africanism.
Okay, but what I'm saying is everybody trying to come together, though, right? Everybody trying. Well, foundational black people been doing that forever, trying. So,
Sir. Okay.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Me.
Sorry. So when you look at when you look at Pan Africanism, you're looking at the fact that it's an idea of black people across the diaspora is liberated. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. We want liberation, we want solidarity, and we want to be looking at as human beings. That's it.
Okay.
Now, of course,
so
people
we
have.
So be Pan African and be a Pan African. Why we got to connect for you to be a Pan African? I'm not stopping you from being a Pan African. Be a Pan African, but why are you stopping me from being indigenous? What is the reasons?
Because here's the difference. So I think Pan Africanism is the idea of you being indigenous or what you're indigenous to. If you know the meaning of indigenous, you're talking about you are the first people of this land. You wasn't the first person of this land. Okay.
So who were?
The we call today is the American Indians, indigenous Americans. Those are the people who were the first people of this land. It is well documented. Science backs it up. So now I think this. I don't have a problem when it comes to black folks here in the United States. If you want to focus on people here, I have no problem with that. That is a form of Pan-Africanism because you're trying to liberate your people here. I have no problem with that. But when you're doing xenophobic rhetoric, you people have the same origin ties as you, not ethnic origin. Because I want to be clear, because we do have an ethnic difference in our ethnicity and culture. Don't have no problem with that. But my thing is when you're spreading hatred and rhetoric, and you have a
that's that Pan African talk.
No, that's not Pan African.
Where would you say our ethnic group was born?
That's that Pan African talk, man. That stuff is ridiculous.
But what makes Pan Africanism so better than foundational indigenous? What makes you think that you haven't done anything? Pan Africanism haven't done nothing in 100 years.
What has FBA done? What has FBA done exactly?
Y'all been talking
What are the FBA
hypothetical.
tangibles? What are the FBA tangibles, sir?
The tangibles is this, sir. Look at the conditions of the country back in the
you gotta mute up,
1950s,
sir. Mr. Keith is still
1900s.
talking.
Look how we
Doctor,
changed. We
Mr.
changed.
Keith
We
was
changed the
still talking.
laws. We changed the
Mr.
laws. We
Keith
changed
was still talking.
I was. He threw me off a little bit. That's okay.
Go ahead,
But
Mr. Keith.
that Pan Africanism talk is the same way you speak it, and that's the reason why people are rejecting it. It's not rejecting you as a person, as a man. None of that. It's not the fact that you are different than nobody, and I'm different than you. We all love one another. We try to put it to that stage, but the whole foundational thing should not be a problem if you saying we're going to be brothers now. Now, we've been trying brother things for 50, 60 years. We've been trying brother things. And see, that's the problem.
No, see, there's no such thing as trying. If you're trying, when you're trying to do something, you're kind of being fake about it. When you're genuine about it.
No.
The generosity of love is already connected.
Open arms with foundational people was love for everyone who came here. And see, that's what people see now. Y'all fighting nowadays about why we trying to look at it differently and why we can't come together. You keep trying to put us together. But see, you're missing it. 60 years ago, we was loving y'all. We loved everyone. Open arms. It wasn't picking out people. It's because
who's y'all?
FBA.
Who's y'all?
Okay.
Sir.
Nobody there, man.
I'm from here, from the United States.
Okay,
no,
but so why
I'm
you
from the United States.
Okay, you foundation, right?
The whole
No,
No,
thing
I
Keith,
don't. I
is
don't
Keith.
believe in
a
that notion
African.
because my thing is there's nothing foundation about
Okay, but
this.
okay, you
What's
here
the
in America,
foundation? I
but
mean,
where?
look, 1776. Go ahead.
Yeah, give us the year. Give us the year, Keith. Go ahead.
Hey, big guy, let me tell you something. You could say 76, you could say 1542. Y'all are not included. And you know that.
1542.
And
Okay.
you know that.
No.
You know
Again,
that.
Keith,
Sir,
relax. So what year?
sir.
What year do you? What
I,
year's on that? Hold on. What year's on that foundational Black American flag? What year is that?
oh my God. All of y'all are so lost.
1526.
No,
Y'all,
hold on. Don't tell him. Don't
sir,
tell him, bro. I
sir,
want to. I want to know how
sir,
foundational he is. Let me.
sir, listen. One thing I'm not going to do for you or none of y'all foreigners,
All right. Well, you're the fuck out of here, okay? Because you can't answer a foundational question. All right. You claim to be FBA. You should know what year's on the fucking flag, okay?
Yeah, I want.
So
And
So
African
I
vibes,
Americans
don't.
are the culture, not FBA.
Can
African
I,
Americans are the
vibes,
can I
culture.
chime in just for a
Oh, we're the
second?
same person.
Um,
People.
vibes. What
You're not the same.
vibes? What are you?
I already told you
We
multiple
are.
times, doctor.
You never told me. You never told me anything because
You
you
always on my
sound like you're
panel.
white
You
tea.
always find.
But
Yeah,
what are
you
you?
can say that. You can say that all you want.
he's
You know,
like
I'm
a
African. I'm
Arab
African.
East
I'm
From
African,
African.
where?
like
Which
from
country?
It
Which
don't
country you
matter.
from?
I'm
Ethiopia or
African.
Okay, I
Eritrea or
I'm
understand.
something.
Now
African.
I know who you are. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, guys, this is the point I'm making. You talk and talk and talk for 100 years. You got nothing done. You got people like certain people like on this
What?
thing here. All you want to do is talk and make yourself sound smart. Make yourself sound smart.
Likewise, doctor. You want
But
to
in,
act like you're a doctor trying to have a symptom diagnosed for us Africans, right? That we
you
are
don't sound African to me, brother.
inadequate to
I really
speak
doubt
on
that.
African American
I doubt, Vibe, that you're
politics.
African anything. But that's
And that's
fine.
fine. That's fine.
Let's
I
move
don't. Well,
on.
then what? Then get your off this panel if I'm not what you expect me to be. Okay,
I
because I'm
doesn't.
not a
It
FBA.
doesn't. These your
I'm not a
people.
FBA. Okay.
Hey, host.
And there's no amount of money that you can pay me to go back to Africa, doctor. Like like I've
Yeah.
watched you
I'll give you
do
250,000.
to Uncle
If you love
Moose and
Africa, why not go
and
back?
to Prince. Okay, doctor. You're
Yes.
washed up, doctor.
If
You're
you
not
love
even a
Hey,
Africa,
doctor.
why
host.
not
You're
go
not
back?
even a
Why not
doctor.
go back?
You're
Why you
not
mad
even
at
a
me?
doctor.
Why you
Host.
mad
Doctor.
at me?
Doctor, no job. You're not even a doctor. So
You're
I
never
don't
going to
even
have
want.
no
I really
unity,
don't even give
sir.
a
You
fuck
will
about
not.
your
Pan
opinion
Africanism is
because you're
failing.
not
It's
you're not a
over.
leader of shit.
Hey,
Let alone
host.
Tariq Nasheed.
And you are.
Let alone your pretendian
You already.
ideology, because I know that's what you really claim. You know what
Hey,
I mean,
You're a
host.
doctor?
crap.
But
Hold
nobody
on.
fucking asked you. Nobody
You're a
fucking
pretend.
cares because no FBA really fucking
That's
cares
not. First of
about
all,
anything we're
I
talking
don't even
about.
think you realize who you're talking to. That's
Dread,
not Doctor
I
No
know I'm talking
Job.
to your grandpa. I'm talking to your
That's
grandpa,
not
Dread, and
Doctor
I'm
No
sorry to hurt
Job.
your
So you don't
feelings
even know who you're
and talk to
talking
your
to.
elder. I'm
And
sorry to talk to
you
your
do
elder
sound
like
like a
that,
white
right?
guy. You're
So
not a
I
black
sound like
African.
you don't need to be here then. You don't need to explain shit to me because I'm not honored enough to partake in this conversation about how you closeted FBAs that call yourselves Black Americans, so we don't call you out every time because you're in limbo about who you really are. You want to choose between all three unique lineages, but always punch down on the last lineage that should be first on your list of lineages to represent and honor. Like, I just don't understand how you guys always revert back to honoring African people. You have to honor the tethered ancestry. You descend from tethers. We're 10 toes down tethers.
Your
Right?
ancestors are
Right,
enslaved
Tethers?
Africans. Exactly. You come from enslaved Africans, that you despise your own ancestry. This is what's crazy. They have to run around talking about their indigenous this, their indigenous that, as if pretending to be an Indian is going to get you a different outcome. And the whole world isn't crazy. Everybody knows you're not indigenous.
I think people are misinterpreting that, but I think there were Black Americans who had tribal identities that they were disenrolled from. It doesn't mean being mixed, but well, I think I know that to be a fact. But Nonetheless, I walked away for a second. What the hell happened?
But does calling yourself indigenous or FBA make you any more competitive in the real world? Does calling yourself indigenous or FBA change any of the racial disparities in America? Is it going to change the school to prison pipeline? Is it going to change the incarceration
Is it going to be
rate?
recognized by the white
say,
people, right?
I
Though,
wouldn't
Tether?
say that it.
Right.
I
How
wouldn't
does it
say that
change the
it.
system?
Are you asking a question for? I wouldn't say that it. I'll say that it draws a distinction between the ethnicities, so that I, for instance, won't get looped in with someone from Nigeria or
Yeah,
Jamaica
Muba.
or whatever.
With all due respect, Muba, they only do this because the only impact it's going to have is the diaspora war impact, where they're going to claim they're not African, and so nobody cares for them to delineate, but just don't punch
Is
down
that
while you do it, you know.
no? I
And then
understand
don't
that.
be saying that white people, because you know they're banking on this anti-immigration, right? So they don't want to get caught up with these Africans that are going to get deported, right? So they have to
I mean,
double down.
seems
They
like it's
have to
kind of
double down on
impossible.
their allegiance in America, and they have to be federally recognized to be even a thing for white people that are already the true pretendians, that have already mixed in with the Native American indigenous people here to the point where they have created blood
True.
quantum, right? To distinguish themselves from other people. And they're never going to let black indigenous people within those tribes. Even Tariq Nasheed said
Yeah,
that.
that's why I don't.
Any
That's why I talked about disenrollment, because I don't just we can acknowledge, or certain people like myself who have gone through my genealogy and know the tribes that we've been disenrolled from because of race. It's one thing to acknowledge that your family has that history. I don't think you need to claim. Like, I didn't grow up as Cherokee or Choctaw. I know that my people took on those identities at some point. But I like I said, I think maybe, like you said,
But
people
we're
are
not
more.
saying they can't claim those two if they're married in, if they, if they were part of the
They owned
membership
slaves.
at
Those
some
tribes
time.
owned slaves. They were
Yeah,
we
we
That
became
too, including
Afro-Indigenous
that,
because of
right?
slavery, and they took in
Yeah.
runaway slaves. So why is that the center of your identity, is being enslaved by a Native American?
No, it's not. It's not this. It doesn't have to be the enslavement part. Doesn't. It's just acknowledging all of your experiences, all of your inherited
Well,
experiences.
the FBAs love to romanticize their enslavement with the white people and these biracials, these melungeons, these triracials, these biracials
I
as
wouldn't say
them
it's
being black.
romanticism.
Well,
I romanticize.
well,
I romanticize
not
the
you.
hell out of
I'm not talking
Africa.
about you,
No,
Muva.
I know you're not talking about me.
I'm talking about FBAs. I'm talking about FBAs specifically. So I'm talking about how they
You
are
know, I
willing
view
to.
FBA and Black American, African American, ADOS, Salon. I view us all as the same people.
Well, how
No,
come they say
we
they're
have
not
to make a
African?
distinction.
They say they're
We
not
have
African American.
move out. You have to make a distinction. You cannot just group them
Yeah,
all
I
together.
know
That's
that.
why
I know that
That's
some of
why
us call
they decided
ourselves
to be
African
something
Americans,
else. That's why
but
they
we're
decided
all a
to.
part of the same ethnic group because we all have
I
the same
get that,
language.
Muva. I really do. I understand your intention and what you're trying to say, right? When we try to kumbaya with the people that say that they're not a part of being African or they're not part of Pan-Africanism, you don't have to be under that flag.
But she's
You
being
can
kind
No,
of.
I also what
you
what
can
is
be
like.
African American, but that still hurts them. Even being
She's
called
being
an African American
Pan-African.
hurts them.
That's
There are
Pan-Africanism.
Black Americans and African Americans that we still have to honor, that they don't want to be FBAs or Salon or ADOS. We have to respect those people as well.
Yeah, that's
The
why I
people that
said
still
I
have an
look at us
affinity
all
to
the same,
Africa.
because there are, like you said, there are African Americans who don't want to be called anything else but that. There are FBAs who don't want to be called anything else but that, Salon, etc. So I try not to alienate those groups, but we are one group, obviously with different ideologies.
They will call
forcing
you a
Pan-
tether, Muva.
Yeah, aren't you forcing
I've never,
Pan-Africanism
I've
on these
never,
groups
I've
of
never
people?
been
They
called.
will do that to you.
I've been called a
We
tether
won't do that to
once,
you, Muva.
but
We
I've
won't do
been,
that to you.
I've been
But
called
they
a tether
will.
once, but I mean, I'm literally not, so it's like, it doesn't really hurt my
What's
feelings.
what's a tether, Muva? What's a tether? You explain it to me.
To me, a tether would be a person of any immigrant background, not just to America, but period. Like, I could be a tether anywhere I go. That purposely
So I thought it was a
comes to
behavioral
land.
thing. I didn't think you
Yeah,
could just be an
yeah,
immigrant.
yeah. No, not just
No.
any.
They,
No,
you know
hold
what they
on.
say? No,
Let
no,
me
Muva. You have
finish
it
because
wrong. You have it wrong.
let
You
me
have it
finish
wrong.
because I wasn't saying any immigrant. I'm saying any immigrant, anybody of an immigrant background, that purposely comes to undermine the native populace. So let's say if I went
Okay,
to
there you
Sierra
go.
Leone and I became obviously an immigrant, Sierra Leone immigrant, and I joined the class of people that were oppressing native Sierra Leoneans, and I didn't care about their plight. I didn't care about their oppression. I just came there to be just another colonizer, essentially. That's what I would call a tether.
Okay, fine. But the thing about FBAs is that they're tethered to YT supremacy. They're tethered to their colonizer, whether they like to see it or not, because they exhibit and they perform the same go back to Africa rhetoric, right? The same thing that was given to the civil rights leaders while they were marching, by YT people. Now they want this
telling others to go
they
back
want
to
this
Africa.
historical wrong check called reparations that obviously they're owed, but they're never gonna. I believe they're never gonna get it. That's my opinion, because they never got 40 acres and a mule, and they think by delineating that they're gonna get it, but like they're not gonna. They're not. Besides getting all immigrant people out of America and working with ICE and Homeland Security,
and it's not
of course. No. And then on top of that, think about all the people that are mixed, like Nipsey Hussle, half Mexican, half Black American,
But that's
right?
what I
Like,
mean. Honestly, Vibes, I think that most Black Americans are pretty logical about this, but maybe it's just, I think the illogical ones get up here and they rah on TikTok. But
and
we
that's
know
why
that
it'll move up. We
immigrants
cannot
will
just.
not be like largely removed from America. It's impossible. It's a waste of resources.
But their part of delineation is to tell people to go back home and fix their own countries, which doesn't mean they want us to do good back home. It really just means to go self-deport yourself. Like, there's no other reason to tell people to do that while they talk about their shanties, their mud huts, while they talk about their bushmeat, while they fucking do all the xenophobia rhetoric that we see. And I'm not saying all FBAs, but it's the biggest percentage on here on TikTok. I've never met an FBA in real life, but regardless of that fact, this is why we have to make a distinction between, and I don't even like Black Americans as the title, because like even we can come under Black American, Black as a race and American as a nationality. There is no ethnicity called Black American. It's either Black, African, or African American.
That's
and
why
they all
there's so
come under
many
the same
names,
definition.
though. It just depends on which one.
Yeah, so don't get confused.
I just prefer
Don't
to
get
talk to people
confused.
about my experience, because you'll know exactly who I am when I talk about my experience. Whatever I call myself, I'm a descendant of American chattel slavery one way or another.
So again, I will say this before I introduce Rated here. I hate how it starts at chattel. I hate how it starts where Europeans were finally able to confine us and brand us and take control of us. We're not thinking about the African people that got here on those slave ships and freed themselves.
My friend.
Hold on, Rated. Hold on.
You say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the FBA flag, it says 1526, right? So that year was before chattel slavery. So the whole FBA movement contradicts itself, because they wanted to they want the lineage to only start at chattel slavery and then move forward, right? But they disregard everything that came before that. They disregard the Spanish, who are Europeans that brought Africans to Nueva Española, right? To the Caribbean, to Mexico. They disregard those people that found their freedom and fought against colonial powers and created their own freedom. You had the freedom in Florida with the Spanish, that were against the English. They want to disregard.
What happened?
Rated. Hold on,
You
bro.
talking
Hold
too
on.
much.
Amigo, this is my panel. Te puedes,
Amigo, I know, pero
te puedes
you
ir a,
talking.
te puedes
I want
ir
to
a
say
chingar
hello.
a su madre. Se puede ir a chingar a su madre si quieres. también
Cabrón,
igual.
te meto el machete en tu culo.
Está bien, papá. Está bien. Peace. Anyways, then we have white Hispanics, we got white Latinos, we got this. So I hate FBAs and Black Americans that group all people just because we speak the Spanish language, like we speak the English language, as we're foreigners, with people with the same skin tone, with the same curl hair, same 4C hair.
Okay, I relax. I relax.
Nah. You're out of here, cabrón. You're
Okay,
out of here.
fuck you.
So you said you don't like being viewed as a foreigner by Black Americans.
Yeah. Because America is a continent before it ever was the colonial borders of
Fucking
America.
negro
It's
piece
like
of shit.
it's like I
Oh my God! How
understand
is he
it.
coming back up?
It's like I understand where you're coming from, but at the same
No, I
time,
haven't finished. I have not finished.
okay.
So they want to disregard all those achievements, all those rebellions. They only want to honor the people that conquered them and then move forward with their enslavement and hold it as a badge of honor. Like those people are defeated trying to tell other people that rebelled and that did something for themselves as fleers, as people that had to leave. But America wasn't even born yet when we got here. You get me?
So
We made it. We made it out the mud in
which group
America
of people
without.
are you talking about? I'm sorry.
So all groups of people that made it to the continent of America
Mm-hmm.
by the
about us?
Spanish and the English that fought colonial powers that be before chattel slavery.
And
You get it?
no, I understand that, but you want the descendants of chattel slavery to be grouped in with those people?
No. Fuck. Okay, so my big issue is them starting the lineage at chattel slavery when they were conquered.
Is
Okay.
embracing
You
an
understand
identity based
why
on
that would be
slavery?
the case?
But hang on, isn't it a mistake to base your identity on slavery? The worst thing in your history. That is what defines your identity.
No, I wouldn't, because it's not.
Same with ADOS,
It's
Tether. The
not
biggest thing
us
I have with
defining our
they
identity
say they
by
descend
enslavement.
not
It's our
from
defining our
Africans
identity
enslaved.
by
They
our
descend from
resistance and
slaves.
our
Who were
resilience.
the first slaves? The Slavics, the East European Slavics. That's the term. That's where the term slave came from the Slavs. So now you
Right.
descend from another identity that had nothing to do with our people. So this is we get
we're an
caught up in these
amalgamated
spell
group,
games too, you
so
know.
But your
And then there's some
ethnogenesis was
indigenous
the
people that say, well, why are we calling each other black? So this is why I don't get why a lot of indigenous people call themselves Black Americans, because if you're so indigenous that black is a misnomer, because black was indicated for African people, Negroes, right? Why would you attach yourself something to that? What they want to do is they want to convince the whole demographic of black people who all do have African ancestry. They want to convince them that they're not African, that they were always here.
right.
They were here before Columbus. They were here. They sprung up here before they were brought here. So that would be an erasure of the Atlantic slave.
I mean, white people invented Nigerians, white people invented Liberians, white people invented Jamaicans, Dominicans. Hold on real quick, Delta. Real quick, Delta. Slave trade was born new. That's just what it is. I can't go back into my mother's womb and her womb and the womb. I can't do that. So everyone's ethnic group was born throughout colonialism. It was in America. And it was in America and it wasn't always on breeding farms, Tether. Sorry, go ahead. No, they're absolutely.
Cherokee, indigenous, native, okay? You're giving them more credit than they're worth. You're saying that a man.
Sir, you are the one saying that your ethnogenesis starts in America, even though your ancestors come from Africa. Somehow you don't recognize your own ancestry. You only
That's not
recognize
true, sir. There were
slavery.
people that look like me here before the chattel slavery, sir. You have to go look up the history.
And
You understand?
the
You
two
keep telling
things are
people.
true, Tether. Ethnogenesis occurs with it's not saying that your ancestors aren't. I mean, some people are saying that their ancestors aren't African, but it's accounting for the amalgamation that you are, not just African. Our ethnicity was born with Africans, Indigenous Americans, and white T folks, but we already know that.
As Africa goes, right, in terms of the cradle civilization, Akubalan, it was called Ethiopia, was called Abyssinia, there's a whole bunch of names, right? As the story goes, everybody came out of Africa at some point. So it doesn't matter for them to try to tell me that I'm African per se, direct and only.
Sir, you are not African. I do not extend to you any Africanness. You are a Cherokee Tether, whatever you want to call it. You're an Indian. Never call yourself African again. Go ahead.
I do want to ask, what is the
So let me
for
explain
the
something to
people
you.
who
You
want
don't
us
get
to like call ourselves African? What's the goal? Like, how does it enrich us? I'm not saying literally or materialistically. Like, what is the goal? Because I don't understand the visceral reaction that people are having to Black Americans who don't consider themselves Africans. I was just told by my Nigerian ex I was always told by him that I wasn't African, but I had to call him up just to make sure he didn't change his tune and show him.
So you call your exes to see whether or not you're African? That's kind of weird. Okay.
No, we're cool. And we always used to have cultural debates. I don't know if maybe you don't have amicable relationships with people that you're no longer with, but we're a cool bunch, and we always had those types of discussions when we were together. So I was curious if he changed his tune.
No, why does an African have to tell you whether or not you're African? Either you.
He's African.
Okay, that's fine. But, okay, if you say that you don't have any African descendants, right? Or any
That's not what
African
I'm saying,
ancestors.
no.
Okay, so do you consider yourself African? That's a you question. You can't ask somebody else to answer that question for you. You have to answer it for yourself. Patient Robinson, he's a Cherokee, so he's not African. Right?
When I go to Africa,
sir, you're not African. Okay, but what's crazy to me is that you will have people say, I'm not African, I have no African ancestors, but yet, and I'm indigenous to America, but you sold us into slavery. An indigenous person was sold into slavery by an African. So you make arguments that cannot be logically consistent. This is why there's pushback, because what you're saying is demonstrably false. You're just doing this to be xenophobic. You want to trigger some kind of reaction or something, but nobody cares about me. Well, no, I'm talking about the FBA movement in general. Nobody cares about delineation. Delineation is a temper tantrum. You come in African spaces, say, oh, we're going to delineate. We're going to delineate. It's kind of like a girlfriend who walks out the door and wants you to chase her. Nobody is going to chase you. Delineate. We have already delineated. African Americans have already delineated. You are the one trying to impose this fake internet identity onto people. So your identity is not a project that you get to put on other people. Like you want other people to affirm, oh, I am really indigenous. That's not other people's job to affirm you're being indigenous. So your identity is a you issue, and you're trying to make it a diaspora issue. Do you see what I'm saying? You're trying to reverse this. This is a you problem. You're trying to make it everybody's problem.
Why would you want me to ask an African whether they consider me African or not? Like, I understand I understand self-identity, but when it comes down to our collective identity, to the identities we all agree upon, why wouldn't I ask him that? Especially because he's from the continent.
But this is just demonstrating your identity crisis. When I was born Igbo, I will die Igbo. There's continuity from birth to death with my identity. But your identity, you don't have a stable foundation. It's shaky. You
No,
need
I
external
do. But when
validation.
I give my
Why do you
answer,
need
I
external
am
validation?
acceptable.
But
And
why do you
that's
need
what
external
I'm saying.
validation? Well, I'm asking, why do you need external validation of your identity? Why does somebody else have to tell you who you are?
No, he didn't need to tell me that I was a Black American because that's undeniable. I was asking him as an African himself if he considered me an African. I don't consider myself an African. So that's why he can't tell me that whether or not I'm a Black American. That's a duh.
So let me tell you, if he says yes, you're African, does that change your
If he
position?
considered me an African,
If he considers you African, does that change your position, your identity, your worldview? How does that change your identity? Go ahead.
it would change the way I view how he views kinship because I mean, I've had kinship definitely with other people in the diaspora in the Caribbean, not as much with continental Africans, just because it seems like there's a wider gap between us. So that's what I was curious about.
Okay, so the first thing I was taught when I was a kid is that I am Igbo. This is my ancestral land. This is my people. This is where you're from. And this is where you were born, and this is where you will be buried. I know exactly who I am at all points in time, right? But you are depending on your ex to provide feedback to you about who you are. Like when you were born, what did your parents tell you, and how has that changed over time?
I was always told I was a Black American. My great grandmother, who's still alive, who still considers herself Cherokee. And then everybody after that, like I said, everyone around me is a Black American. This is where, like you said, we're in the soil here. My grandparents are buried or my parents and so on, buried all over the Southeast, right? Me asking him whether or not he considers me an African because I'm an African descendant is not me relying on him to tell me who I am as a Black American. I already know that. I'm saying that.
Why does his opinion matter at all as to who you are? Is my question. Why does anybody's opinion matter? Anybody? Nobody has to tell me.
Like I said, collective identities that things we agree upon. That's why we can't talk about Pan-Africanism and holding hands across the ocean if people don't even consider me African.
Can I ask you a question?
I also sorry. Let me say this real quick, Slim K, and then I also like to ask questions like that because when I was a Pan-African and I was really serious about learning more about the continent, I wanted to approach it respectfully. I didn't want to talk about it like I had authority over anything over there, considering I'm not from there. So it's okay to ask questions. But go ahead, Slim K.
So I just want to ask. So do you believe that your ancestry is not African related?
You said, do I believe I have African ancestors, white ancestors, and indigenous ancestors. Indigenous American.
So can I just want to point out one thing. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see?
A human being, a woman.
No, I mean, like, do you see an indigenous? Do you see an Indian, like a native American, like Indian, in that way? You know?
I see myself. There's not one look to.
What part of your ancestry is reflected in the mirror when you look in the mirror? Do you see this is a European woman? This is a native indigenous woman. What is reflected back to you when you stare in the mirror? Are you ever confused as to whether or not you're looking at a European in the mirror or an indigenous in the mirror?
The point I was trying to make is
that I see a Black woman.
So can I just say the point I'm trying to make? Not just Black. It's fine to be Black. I'm Black. I'm East African. I'm from the Horn, and we can go back and forth about how Black we are in the eyes of Americans and West Africans. But the point I was trying to make is that when you look in the mirror, I don't think that you see a Native American or a Inca or a You don't see
I
any
don't
of
see an
those people.
Asian looking mongoloid. Like, no,
No,
I
of
don't.
course
I
not.
see,
No, you don't.
yeah, I
You
see
see a
myself as
black
a Black
person,
American
because
Muslim. Yeah.
and I can tell you why. Because your ancestors, whether they came from the west coast, of Africa, from Ghana to Nigeria to that whole west coast of Africa. That's where they came from, where the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the Spanish, they took people sold by their own people, which were political prisoners. They took them, put them in there, and sold them to the white man, and then took them to the Americas. So what could also be is that maybe you might have some European, like Irish or English or Dutch or even Belgian or French, and generally what that came from. And I'm sorry to say this to you. I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
You're telling me like I don't know. I was just letting you explain it, but you know I know that.
That came from grape. Most of it came from grape.
Yeah, you got to do your own genealogy.
So your ancestors got graped. And then you might have some white tea people in you, but the majority.
There were some Bedouins. There were some Bedouins
from Africa.
Not too much.
Like it or not, and this is so difficult for us to hear you guys constantly say, like, no, you are not indigenous. 100%. It's so ridiculous. It is absolutely the most ridiculous thing to ever hear. It is absolutely, you are 100% indigenous. Get it out of your head.
But I do want to ask, your grandma said that you were indigenous.
Who are you talking to? Because I never said
a lot of people. I know.
Oh, okay. There's 4 people in the room, so I wasn't sure.
I know a lot of people. From Curaçao. I grew up in Holland. I know a lot of people from Curaçao, and in Curaçao they used to say, like, oh, I'm half Indian, I'm half this. And then when they did the DNA test, when we finally got those DNA, and then everybody was like, oh shit, actually you are 100%. 99% African and maybe a little bit of Spanish or Dutch. That was it.
People are misinterpreting tribal
Can
identity.
I ask a question?
Because people like to talk shit. They do.
Yeah.
In East Africa, we like to talk shit too. Our people, they like to be a little bit different and do our own thing. But there's ground behind that. There's actual facts behind that. But in the West, and especially in the African Americans and the ones that I respect the most are the Brazilians, because they are the ones that know what they can claim.
Exactly. But can I ask a question? Are you ever humiliated? So you look. Your grandma says you're Indian, right? She says you were Cherokee. But when you look in the mirror,
hold on, really quick.
When you look in the mirror, you
I
don't.
wanted to clarify that. Hold on, really quick about that. Like I said, people really, I think they don't understand tribal identity. My grandmother saying she's Cherokee is not saying she's not Black, because we do understand.
Are the Cherokees Black? Are the Cherokees Black people?
What is your hair structure? What is your hair?
Y'all are asking me 2 different questions.
You said, okay, real quick. You said that your grandma says that she's Cherokee. Are the Cherokees Black? I've seen Cherokees. They don't look Black.
The Cherokee is a multiracial tribe.
They're not.
It's not just. Again, people don't understand tribal identity.
The Cherokees own slaves, man.
I know that. That's why I'm talking to you about tribal identity. The Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Creek. We know.
They never wanted to mix with you. They never wanted to mix with the African. That's
again, sir. I think people talk too much in general. When you're speaking to people, I think it's important to talk to people as if they know their own family history.
Listen.
Because people a lot you're trying to prove to me is something about my own family. I'm not saying this is applicable to every Black person or Black American.
I can put it back from my people.
But I can talk only about my family.
My people have lived in Africa for over 20,000 years. They went out, you know, and Eritrea, Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia. They went out and came back in. The reason they look so different is because they didn't mix with the locals that much. Only a little bit. Only a little bit. That's why the majority of our DNA is so complex. The same goes for the people that went to, you know, the Native Americans. They did not want to mix with the Africans. They did not. They thought that the African was a disgusting thing.
I
They
think you're
even had
speaking
slaves.
too
They
generally
even had
because a lot of
slaves.
Native American
Are you
tribes took
kidding me?
in
You
African,
need to look at
took
it.
in slave. Again,
Can
you're
I
speaking a
tell
little
you?
too broadly, but I don't want to speak
No,
for
no,
the
no.
whole
This
Native
is
American
100% fact.
populace when there's not a
He
Native
don't know
American
what
in the
There
he's
is
world.
talking
only
about
such a
because a lot of
small
Black
percentage.
Americans have
So
Indian
small.
DNA, Native
They
American
Yeah, a
claim
lot
it.
of
DNA.
them fought
This
alongside
guy
A
don't
lot
even
of
know what
them
he's
claim
talking
it. A
about.
lot of them claim it, but there's none of them that actually have it.
I don't.
No, a lot of people
There's
have
so
taken
many
DNA
African
tests
Americans
and they
that
just
Okay,
claim to have
we
you
have a
DNA,
new
guys
but they
just
don't
panelist.
gotta
have
Hang
get
on.
any.
We have
dude,
a
you
new
just got
panelist. Let's introduce the new panelists. We need order. Okay, so we have Ivy. What is your race, your ethnicity, and what are your ideas on the prompt of what you've heard so far? Go.
yes, I'm foundational Black America in the United States.
Let's go.
And it says, can a Black American be Black Americans are the only ones who've ever been Pan-African. There's nobody
So
there is no other
what is Pan
Black
African to you, Ivy? What does it mean?
Pan-African. Well, we were accepted to every Black race that came to the United States. We've helped everyone who's come to the United States, and the people over in Africa. We've done a lot for a lot of
Everyone.
Black melanated people, and that's a fact.
You
No, I'm
individually
talking about Black
or your
Americans. I'm
lineage?
talking about Black Americans.
Yeah. So
And
Black
then,
Americans
and
never
another
existed
thing,
when they were helping African people, right,
there has
Ivy?
never
They
been
were called
any other.
Negroes.
Can I say something?
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Before no, I know, but you can't start by saying Black Americans did this, Black FBAs did this. They never existed, as a group of
FBAs is
people.
Black Americans. We've been Negroes.
When
what do
Black
you want us to call
enslaved
ourselves?
Africans, when enslaved Africans came to America, right?
We were Negroes. We were called
given, they were
Negroes.
reclass. Exactly, they weren't
Yes.
FBAs. They
We
weren't
were
Black Americans.
Negroes. We were
They were
Negroes.
never given a nationality. They were never even.
We were
There were
called Negroes.
3/5.
We
There
gave
were
ourselves
3/5
a
of a human.
nationality.
There were
We gave
3/5 of a
ourselves
human
one.
person. So
We don't
you were
need
never
anybody to
positioned.
give us anything.
Oh my God! Why are you talking over me? You were never in a position to be helpful or to give an olive branch of an extension to help your brethren from the continent, because you were property of somebody else's. So I don't want to hear that Black Americans or FBAs did
Black
anything for
Americans.
people. I don't want to hear that you did anything, you specifically, because I know you didn't do shit. Let alone the people that you claim are your ancestors that never referred to themselves as Black Americans or FBAs.
Black Americans did so much for the United States also. We innovated this place. We created this place.
I didn't
If
say
it
what
was
you. I'm
no,
not asking you what you did for the white tea man. No one asked you what you did. The black man created the fucking
we
light.
did it
The
for
light.
all of
The
you.
white man. The black man created the light. The light fixture, right? The
We
stoplight.
did it
The
for
white man.
all
The
the
white man created the speeding ticket, right? A black man black women actually created the cell phone. A white man created
Can
the
I
cell
say
phone bill.
something? All of you guys were leeches. We
Okay, here we go.
created.
Let me just
We've
drop
done
you already. Let me drop your delineating ass,
I wanted to ask her a
and
question.
let me let you delineate
Very
as far as
disappointing.
you can. Hurry the fuck up and delineate.
Right, but
Very
okay,
disappointing.
to this argument that Black Americans did all this stuff for Africans and Caribbeans, there is a grain of truth there. But when you were marching for civil rights, you didn't do that with Africans and Caribbeans in mind. You weren't getting bit by dogs and sprayed with water cannons for Nigerians or for Ethiopians or for Jamaicans. You were doing that for your own benefit. So they're trying to guilt trip us. Look at what we did for our own benefit. Okay, so
Hold on, move up because he has
let me land. So you were
Yeah.
marching for access to, so to eat in white restaurants, for access to to civil society, so that to lift Jim Crow. You were doing that for your own benefit. You were doing that so that you can eat in a white restaurant, shop in white stores, and fornicate with white people. And I get it. In a society where everything was separated based on race, you needed access to taxpayer-funded institutions. You were paying taxes, but you didn't have access. So now that you have done that, you want to say, look what we did for you, right? But you did this for yourself. You were not thinking, oh, in 30 years from now, a Nigerian can go to school here because of what I'm doing. No, you were doing this to stop the oppression of the white man. So what always happens in these discussions is that Africans are being blamed for the oppression that the white people put on you. And now we have to bow the knee and grovel. Oh, thank you for you getting civil rights that benefited you. If you really want to break it down, when they introduced gender into the Title IX,
Right. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah. Say that.
Right, when they introduced gender into Title IX of the 1965 Civil Rights Act, that redistributed the benefits of affirmative action, job placement, access to college institution, and that redistributed that from Black people who fought in unalived for civil rights to white T women. So the civil rights movement was co-opted by white T women, by feminists, and they took the benefits for themselves. But you are blaming Africans and Caribbeans because white T women co-opted your civil rights movement. So there's a lot of misdirected anger. And just like the lady was saying, oh, look what we did for you, but you didn't do that for us, you did it for yourself. And white people co-opted it. And I land.
Ouch. That's the facts. That's the hard, true facts. And then on top of that, the European immigrants got to come in through the 14th Amendment. Yes, you were boots on the ground. You guys did everything so the world could see how you fought back against a European that was abusing you, that saw you as a 3/5 of a human being, And
that was kind of kind. Look at you. That was kind of was that kind of like a little bit of a compliment?
No, but
No.
the boots on the ground, of course. I mean, yeah. But again, when they want, I hate to sound like white people because I already sound like them, right? But I hate to mimic them when they say you didn't part. I'm not going to say our ancestors went through slavery. So part and parcel, yes. But when these FBAs or these Black Americans are like, we were so kind to y'all. Y'all didn't want to hear us about the white man. We tried to tell y'all. And it's kind of again, you guys are the same. Sorry, move up. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to these people that claim to be the freedom fighters, right? But are the couch potatoes today when they hear about ICE deporting African immigrants, right? When they don't give a fuck about the Somalis or the East Africans, right? When the white European targets the Mexicans, right? Only the brown Mexicans, only the indigenous Mexicans, because there's a bunch of Mexicans that are Spanish Mexicans, that are Hispanic Latino people that are the same branch of European. When the Europeans are like, we don't want them speaking Spanish. Spanish is European. The Spanish and the European fought amongst themselves, but they came to an agreement where they were going to take care of the Americas. Spanish took territory. The English took territory. And that's why Spanish and English are the big majority languages here. But when you hear an FBA talk about stop speaking Spanish, go back home. And when home is Mexico, and when the most immigrants in Mexico are expats that are Europeans and Spanish people in America, driving up the prices of real estate, gentrifying communities like they gentrified them here in America, when they don't understand that Mexicans is a broad nationality term, and within Mexico there are different demographics of races and tribes and cultures, and there's even Afro-Indigenous, Afro-Mexican lineage there that was enslaved by the Spanish there before they ever reached Jamestown. They don't want to know that. They just want to group in Mexicans as all Spanish, Hispanic, Latino people. They Again, they only bark down. They only punch down. They never look at how they're tethered to the white team man here, how they're really house Negroes fighting against the field Negroes. And the field Negroes now are the Mexicans. They're the ones picking the fruits. They're the ones that are here working under the table, right? This is why they have to make them illegal. Because if you make them illegal, now they have to work for free. There is no pay. And even with the fucking low wage pay that they get, that's why that check that these foundational black Americans want to get, they want fiat currency that's not backed by anything. This is a rat race. They don't even want land. They want just cash. Like Dave Chappelle said, when we get our we got the biggest spending power as black Americans. We got the biggest spending power, but what are we going to put it into? Who are we going to spend it to? We're going to spend it back to these European companies. We're going to spend it back to these raw resources like oil and everything that we consume in America that we strip other countries of. Venezuela recently, right? And then Africa, the biggest deposit of raw resources. You know what I mean? So all that destabilization, all that shit talking they do about fleeing, and these are forced migrants that happen. They don't fucking come here for no fucking reason. They don't fucking come here for no reason. They were forced to migrate.
Can I say something?
Really quick before Slim K, I'm not gonna be long. I'm gonna actually hop down. I just wanted to say thank you, host, for having me. It was nice talking to y'all. I'm still not a Pan-African, but I like to come to these rooms just to keep an open dialogue, because I don't like the fact that everybody thinks FBAs, Black Americans, all of us are hateful. We're not. So y'all have a good rest of your day.
Not hateful, delusional. Can I just make a statement about hey,
Salaam alaikum, Slim.
Alaikum assalam, brother. How are you, man? How are you?
I'm good,
brother,
man. How are you?
I really wanted to just make one statement about when we talk about supremacy, white supremacy, all this stuff. This is literally 100% fact. Only 250 years old. Before that, now and even during that, all the way up until the 1950s, these people did not have in-house plumbing or anything. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to make sure that people understand that the people that when you say like they are supposed to be like, oh, now all of a sudden like we are this, we are that, and
so civilized.
Yeah, exactly. These people till the 1950s, I swear to God, I grew up in Holland. They used to sleep in cupboards, like upside up, like up. They used to sit up in cupboards and sleep in that. It's called a hunebed. You can look it up. I'm not making this up. This is 100% fact. They did not have in-house plumbing. They had an outhouse where they used to go poo, and they used to go and take it out every other week and put it out on the streets. They put their trash on the streets. In the same time, again, I'm gonna put this out for everybody to look up. Look at Asmara, Hargeisa, Mogadishu, and Addis Ababa, and I'm just talking about East Africa here. Indoor plumbing. They had flush. They had the flush. They used to flush. They had, running water in their houses for the last 900 years. How is that possible? That these people are calling us savages after all of that. Now, also remember that during those times when they tried to, come and attack, they were especially in the East, they were constantly bounced back. But we don't learn about that in history. We only learn about the last 50 to 60 years when the bombs started falling. But before that, they had no fucking, sorry for cursing, and I'm sorry to say that, they had no leg to stand on. There was the whole Horn. Somalis used to protect that against the Portuguese, all the way from Mozambique, all the way to Zela. So please take that as it is, and this is the fact. So don't ever let these people tell you that we are the savages and we are the ones that are below them.
Right, Slim. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They don't never think about how many invasions happened in East Africa, let alone just Somaliland, right? The French, the British, the Italians.
Bro,
How much
so
they
many,
they defended back, and they are who they are today. You know, without.
even relatively recently, Somalia was fighting against Somaliland. Actually, was fighting against the Portuguese and the Ethiopians at the same time, and defeated both. I mean, you know, when we want to talk about those type of things, and you know, you could have
It just shows the resistance. It shows how much that, because they want to flex. They want to flex about how they're European, who are bastard children of the British. They sent their criminals. They sent their worst. You know, they sent the people that started all the colonies in America. You know,
but the Eritreans and the Somalis are by nature warriors, and I swear to God, if you ever meet an Eritrean, if you ever meet a Somali, by nature,
they met one today. They met some
don't have
today.
fear in their heart. I swear to God, this is 100% fact. I'm not making this up. This is 100% fact. I have never seen a pussy Eritrean or a pussy Somali. Never in my life. Always, even it doesn't matter how big the guy is, how big anybody is, they never back, because that's nature for us. This is who we are by nature.
Yeah.
And that's reflected throughout history.
Survival of the fittest, you know? That's why we still stand.
Call it what you want. Brother, call it what you want, but it's 100% fact. And this is the reason why the West doesn't like our region, even though it is the most strategic region in the whole world at the moment. When you get the Red Sea,
the Highlands,
and all those things. I mean, come on.
I can't be
making this up.
We got the terrain.
I know.
Yeah. And so
I can't be making this
here,
up.
Slim, let me get you to answer this question then. Like the people that come up and say, well, I don't know what your stance on Pan-Africanism is, but they say Pan-African can't work because first and foremost, it was created in America. And then they say that there's so much tribalism and conflict in the continent of Africa that this is why they're not subscribing to Pan-Africanism. And listen, Slim, you know, I never preached Pan-Africanism, right? Yeah. From the beginning, but I understand it's kind of like this is how I interpret it, that it's just a thought, you know, like it's just an ideology. It's kind of like a way of life to think about all African people the same and think about the upliftment of all, and just because we're not boots on the ground, just we ended up leaving because of conflict, right? And our parents wanted something better. So let me just wrap it up. Let me wrap it up. So we leave, and now we can look back on our people without being so tied to the conflict that now we can think above and beyond and be like, we see the higher unification of all of our people, where we're not so stuck in the conflict, because a lot of our families have been impacted there, right? Not like like guerrilla warfare for my father, who had to leave as a refugee and all that stuff. And but we understand the conflicts that are happening there, just like the conflicts that are happening all across the world, you know. But we have a point of view where we can look.
Very true.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I gotta go. I gotta call, but no, I gotta call. But I was just saying, for unification within the Black diaspora, you know what I mean? Because they want to sever that tie. These FBAs, these Black Americans. Go ahead.
Let me tell you one thing, brother. Yeah, vibes. Listen to me very carefully. You're Eritrean, so when it comes to these things that all these people claim superiority, all those type of things, you know how easy it is for Horn of African people to claim superiority amongst all of Africans. You know how easy it is. I swear to God, so easy. The first ever pilot with the that had an army pilot, 1913. The first African pilot ever to have an army certificate to fly a plane. He was from Asmara. I swear to God, the first female pilot ever in history.
In the African continent or in history, the world history?
No. All over. The first female ever pilot was a Somalian woman, and she trained the people from Burundi and Rwanda.
You said she was an Eritrean pilot. Now she's a Somali pirate.
No. The first man. That was in 1913. He was a man. The first man was the first African man to ever gain a
that was an Eritrean man, and then there was a Somali woman. That's what you're telling me.
A Somali woman that was all the way down a couple of decades later, like in the 40s and 50s. She the first female.
So are we saying the airplane came from East Africa, the original?
No.
What are we saying? What are we saying?
No. I'm saying the first black person to ever fly a plane.
Oh, I hear you.
Was a black man from Asmara.
Got you. I got you.
And then you had the first female black person to ever have that was from Somalia, and she was the one that trained people from Benin, Burundi, and places like that. She trained them. Then you have the Somalis that trained the South African against the apartheid. They did that all the way before the 70s. All that. So all of this is lost in history. We can claim superiority amongst everyone, but have you ever heard any of us claim superiority in that way?
Right.
We don't do that. We don't necessarily do that. No, we don't do that. What we say is like our winnings are all of our winnings, But in the last maybe 10 years, I think, since this FBA and all this stuff started coming out, and they started saying that we are not real Africans and we are not this, that, and the other. We are Arabs. We are Caucasian. We are Black Caucasian. All of a sudden, and holy shit! Tell me that I'm wrong. Should we stay silent on this, or should we say, like, and I'm talking about the Horn. Like Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia. The first place where Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, all of it, across the world, out of the Middle East, it came there first. So, who are we? Who are we then? Right or wrong? Tell me. Where did Christianity land first? In East Africa. Where did Islam land first? East Africa. Judaism, the first place outside of the Middle
Sorry,
East.
Slim. I got a call. I couldn't hear anything you said because I had a call, Slim. I'm sorry.
Sorry. All I was saying is like the East African people, we can't claim to be, superior if we wanted to. We were the first to establish all the Abrahamic religions. They first, all of them came first to us. We were the first to traverse the monsoon, the monsoon in the Atlantic. Sorry, in the Atlantic. Yeah, was it the Atlantic Ocean? In the Indian Ocean. Sorry.
Yeah, the Indian.
We were the first to traverse that. We were the first to go from East Africa all the way down to Indonesia, all the way down to Australia.
The Great Migration.
We were the first. We taught the English how to navigate those waters. We taught them how to do that. And again, look this up. This is not me just saying it. This is 100% fact. The Somalis on the coast and the Eritreans were the ones that taught them coffee, what they drink every day today. Everybody all over the world. We were the ones that invented it and then transferred it to the whole world. I mean, come on. We can be cocky. We can be cocky.
You make me feel so proud to be East African.
Brother, I swear to God, wallahi, we can be so cocky. East Africans, the Horn people. And when I say Horn, when I say the Horn, so you have to be careful when we say the Horn. So it has been different countries it's not just like today, Ethiopia here and Eritrea there. It was Ethiopia, Somaliland and Eritrea were one country before, and Djibouti. They were one country for a very long time. And then parts of
what they'll say though, Slim? They'll say we got it from the Arabs. The Arabs, Slim. That's what they will say to us.
They have nothing against us, bro. Wallahi, they have nothing against us. They gave us religion. That might be true, yes, and I will concede to that. But come on, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, come on. We had our own writing systems before any one of them. We were the ones that traveled. When you look at Korea and China and Japan, all the way to Japan, the names for giraffe, orangutan, gorilla, chimpanzee, lion. They use East African Somali words to describe them. Wallahi, look it up. I swear to God, you can look it up. They use in Korea the same words.
They originated there.
In Somali. Yeah, it's the same words because the Somalis were there first, and they were the first to translate Chinese into any language. Before
the word Chinese, the word for dragon in Chinese is giraffe.
I don't know about that.
Told me that. I don't know. I think it was this. Remember the sister Trouble?
I just know that the East Africans, the Horn of people were the first to touch China, and even before the Arabs, even before the Europeans, even before anyone, they were the first to go there and come back.
The true Afro-Asiatics.
Yeah, man, that's it. And you can hate on us.
The true Afro-Asiatic.
We are Afro-Asiatic. Okay, so we are not true. They might say we are not true linguistically African, but we are African nevertheless. Our people have been there for what, 20, 30,000 years? They might have left and come back. That's the only difference. So that's why we have like different hairstyle. I don't know. Your dad is Eritrean, right? Vibes.
So I remember, and you're delineated from what they originally started as,
I mean, yeah,
or how the migrations worked back and forth.
We don't have the biggest.
And let's not talking about how Arabia. Yeah, let's talk about that because they won't even understand that.
Got you. Hey, brother, how are you?
Oh, is there someone here? Someone else here, Slim? I can't see him.
I thought someone was there for a second. Yeah, just disappeared. You had a whole crew there for a second, man. They all left. You scared them off.
No, I got a bunch of restrictions. No, I got the FBA restrictions. Like I got 16 of them. So when you get restrictions, they limit your algorithm. They cut it down.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so you get warnings. I got violations, and that's why.
Fucking hell, man! Delusional shit.
So let me start the live again. Let me start the live again so we can have
do
more
it again.
people.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll come back. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.